the bottles getting empty up the crack and we stacking chips, all of it's what I want. Plus money winners, that's what I'm on. You can say I'm gone. I prefer elevated pub sports radio. Time to get educated, get produced, leave the juice, letting loose with so much abuse that the bookies wanna call a truce. They getting slaughtered. Can't forget Jeff and low baggers in the chat. That's a lethal weapon 'cause we be pubbing.
What up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Happy Friday, March 1st to all of you. Thank you for watching Betting with the Bag right here on Pub Sports Radio. We got through a rough February, and I expect an extremely profitable March. Also, we are rolling into Pub-a-Palooza. Man, 19 days away from landing in San Antonio for Pub-a-Palooza. I'm pumped, man. I'm excited. 19 days away. And we are 24 hours away, exactly 24 hours away from our first big horse racing stream of the season. The road to the Kentucky Derby is alive and well. Unfortunately, though, and, you know, my dad always taught me with the horses, when something goes wrong, like the weather cancels a track that you were going to hammer or whatever, just think about it as, you know, probably saving you cash. Probably wasn't going to be magical there. But Santa Anita is canceled for Saturday. So the big cap, which we love so much, and the San Pedro Stakes with Muth, and that's all going to be moved to Sunday. So that's taken away. So it won't get overwhelming, you know, around 3:34. Santa Anita won't be starting, but we will have Golden Gate there. So that's the situation. It was a very I was very angry with what happened last night. I was extremely unlucky not to be in the black. A very minimal, tiny loss, but man, did a couple spots hurt me. Longwood came back all the way back against Gardner Webb. Gardner Webb did not score a point for the last 7 minutes and 46. Well, for 7 minutes and 46 seconds, they didn't score a point. Longwood tied it up. We had him plus 2.5, and then Longwood fouled from the Gardner Webb from behind the 3-point line. 3 foul shots with 1 second left, and he hit all 3. And I don't get the cover in college basketball. So while we cashed with the Rockets, we've hit 6 straight in NBA, turning around NBA. I've lost 6 straight in college basketball. So that was upsetting. Now, I did go heavy on the Kraken, so it was a winning night financially. While it wasn't here with the unit size, I lose a minimal, very, very minimal units, but it was great. And I'm really big on 2 overs in NHL. So I did something that I was trying to figure out, how can I add without, you know, going, because I had 2 units on the Kraken. I didn't really want to. So I was like, what could I do to kind of add a little bit? So I did add parlays to the overs that I like with the Kraken. So they're going to be juicy payouts if we can get there. And I took the total down to 5.5 for both of them. So I'm pumped up. I'm happy it's March. Let's turn the page on February. It's warming up. We're all going to meet up in San Antonio, and let's find the positivity. And the pig milk play today. I've been watching you guys cash, man. Pig milk play today running hot. 6-1 from our guy Billy Friedrich, plus 4.92 units, 4 in a row. Cornell -4. So a couple things about today's show. One, we are very excited about Troy Torrance's NBA debut. His NBA debut here. Hopefully that goes very successfully, and we see a lot more of him. I really believe in him as a capper, so we're very excited about Troy Torrence joining us for NBA. Then, secondly, we have 3 games in NHL and 26 games in college basketball. Very difficult. So we'll have the 3-minute timer going on for those 29 games because we got to get to NBA at 1 p.m. Eastern. That's in an hour and 54 minutes. So I just copied and pasted that. Lucky Lefty in the house getting us started with a little woo, cash rules, everything around me. Cream getting us started right. Viper NB is on Ottawa -1 at -127. Memphis moneyline -115. Wow, Vipe. That's impressive. Both those spots, I mean, with all the injuries. Now, we don't know the extent of Ottawa, but Memphis without JJJ without Jaren Jackson Jr. I don't know what to do with that game at this point. But Ottawa, with Ottawa right now, is what's going on with Sanderson and Shabbat. That is of crucial importance here for me, because I'm on the over, which I like quite a bit, but I'd like them both to be on the ice. Torrey Coker in the house, going for 5 in a row. Play of the days. I love it. Torrey Coker on Philadelphia first half -5. Julian Cesario dominating. Troy moneyline, Pistons +10, Mavs +10. I looked very closely at the Pistons +10 and the Mavs +10 as well. I couldn't understand really why the market was going against those two spots, so I decided I could have easily, though, come to the show with the exact same action as that. Very, very easily. I was staring and staring and staring. I did not pull the trigger. Thank you, Swiggy. Swiggy, the Pittsburgh Penguins, I believe, will be the gift that keeps giving on this road trip. We fade them with the Flames on Saturday. So keep fading. But yeah, the Kraken. And look, I went hard against the Canucks, with the Canucks against Penguins, and that slowed me down a little bit with the Kraken. But I should have also been on that team total under 2.5. The Penguins were out shooting Seattle at one point, 31 to 18. I was like, have there been any dangerous opportunities for the Penguins? You take Rust and Gensel off that team. Malkin is not scary. I mean, I like seeing Malkin out there if I'm fading the Penguins. And that's first. It's only Crosby. Crosby's the only guy I worry about. Letang, Malkin, they can do whatever they please. Razor Sharp picks in the house. Ready to get to work, coming off a big day in sports. Tougher day with the horses, but Razor, we've been watching you crush it. If you guys don't know, just a few weeks ago, picked up $21K on a pick 5 at Mahoning Valley. We need you getting all that money tomorrow, Razor. That's what we need. We need you to destroy tomorrow, but respect and love. Kent Davies on Ohio, Bowling Green under 150.5. And the stacks play today is Loyola Chicago. You're in good company, because Wine Time is also on Loyola Chicago. Wine Time swept the board yesterday, 4-0. If you're not following our guy Wine Time on Twitter, it's a mistake. He's just putting out his action each and every day, asking for nothing in return and cashing. And he makes big boy bets, man. He doesn't mess around. Kent Davies has got North Florida first half full game. He thinks it is a smash and grab spot. Let me copy and paste that. Now, we can't have this opening go too long, so I'd like to get started in about a minute here. But shout out to all the cappers in the chat. We got Gerald Jones ready to get to work. Justin McKelvey, Jay Peasy, Jay Smooth balls play of the day. Fairfield. I did come with you on Jacksonville State yesterday. So 0-2 day in college basketball. I mean, it's just nuts. You hit 6 straight in the NBA and then lose straight in college basketball. You got to give it back like that. It's just Bubbarito in the house. Great to see you, Bubbarito. Joey Harb, Real Deal Prime says Sabres win it in overtime. They sure did. That hurt, man. That hurt. I just lost so much money on the Lightning the last little while. But I'm not going to stop. They were up 2-1. I thought we were in business here. That under, I'm telling you guys, the unders in Carolina Hurricane games now that Peter Kochetkov is rolling, there just won't be 6.5s available soon. So keep that all in mind. NJ Stryker says, good morning. Thanks for the birthday pick. Yeah, man. Happy birthday to Mally Mal. I hope it wasn't your birthday too, NJ Stryker. I hope I didn't screw that up, because I love you, man. But yeah, the Kraken was just, and it's going to continue to be that way. K. Reed says that DRF sent your email. Thank you, K. Reed, my man. That is wonderful, wonderful news. All the cappers here ready to rock and roll. Kev Reed going to be back. We're all the squad's back together, man. I can't wait for this. So tomorrow, Razor Sharp Picks and I will be co-hosting. Mikey Money, Guillermo, Kev Reed, Mr. Gogster, Spenny Penny Bombs, Mikey D, Big Ragu, Johnny Gilpatrick, Fat Wally, Dennis Garcia have all confirmed their availability for us with the ponies. So get to the liquor store. I already have. No worries there. I'm locked and loaded. And I'm ready to now. Tomorrow's NHL card is absolutely spectacular. So there's at least 6 spots I want to hammer, and I could add a couple to them. So I'm very, very excited for that. So there'll be a ton of NHL going on, because we got. I don't think there is afternoon hockey, and I really love the latter half of the card. So great to see all of you guys. We've got to get to work. There's the Dapper Capper. We got BT, Cheshire Cat, Dabby Cab with another casher. Razor Sharp Picks said he spent $300 at the liquor store yesterday for tomorrow's show. Razor Sharp Picks, by the way, here is that's a lot of booze in America. You go to a liquor store up here, $300, nothing. You're not gonna get squat. But in America treats the booze bags with respect and dignity. Dan Kelly in the house. Great to see you, Dan. And Julian Cesaro says, my daughter Nadia's birthday today. Can she get a birthday pick? Absolutely. Absolutely. In the name of Peter Loshak, we will deliver said birthday for Nadia. Happy birthday, Nadia. And Nadia, thank you for letting your dad come party with us in San Antonio. Happy birthday to Nadia. Jimmy OG is big on the Flyers. I want to fade both those teams so badly. I'm going to cash the Flyers not to make the playoffs. You take Drysdale and Konechny off of that Flyers team. Now, it is possible that Konechny plays. But it's not. It's not tonight. He's not playing tonight. They've already said, Tortorella's already said, like, we don't know exactly when he'll be back. And he usually doesn't say much of that. Lucas Ryan says, leaving work and need to head down to Oklahoma Casino for the weekend. We'll be listening the whole drive. Love it. Lucas, there's Polo this, Polo that. Just put 150 on the Timberwolves to win the NBA championship. Says Denver struggles with them. Insane of value. Nate Dogg 420. Kelly McInnes. Guillermo Zertucci. Thank you for sending out the DRFs. Swiggy Bets. Everybody ready to rock here. Gifted Cartel in the house. Fairfield, Moneyline, Queens, Moneyline, Lipscomb, and Loyola, Chicago, plus 1.5. I've already gone past the amount of time I wanted to spend on the intro. We got a ton of work to do, and we got our guest ready to rock. James Parham, Drew B., Rocco Rogers, Voodoo Ranger, Chase J. Great to see all of you guys. Marcus McCarthy, Wine Time in the house. So it's time to get to work. There's Coin, Andrew G., a great group. Ian Shaber. So let's get to work, and let's get that cash right now. I'm excited to rock here today. As you know, Fridays, our star of Fridays comes to us from the Great White North, and it is cold up here. Now, we actually, the cold streak is ending right now as we speak. We're getting into positive temperature. It's going to be nice here for the next few days. But we are in the cold, and that's why we can't wait to get to San Antonio, Texas, man, for a myriad of reasons. But please welcome your star of Friday. Shows coming to us from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada's black and yellow steel town. Please welcome Mr. Ian Cameron to the show. Bobano, how are you, my friend?
I'm ready. We've got a huge slate today, huger than normal in college basketball, but looking forward to it. Some good spots. Let's go.
And we have the 3-minute time limit that is going to be up here in the top right corner. There's not going to be an alarm, though, that sounds we're gonna cut the alarm, but there is the 3-minute clock. So let's get to work. Let me just make sure I've got the line history over from NBA to NHL. All right, let's get to work. Jose, get that clock started, and here we go. First off, very quickly, actually, it's going, but you have one of the most interesting records I've ever seen in NHL. In your average line is the highest.
All my bets on the show or draws, I'd be really up big time.
Well, draws, you are up 28.18% ROI.
Yep.
6-16, 27.3%, but that's still giving you a ROI of just under 30%. So it's all your non-draws that are hurting you badly. Your draws have been excellent, and we'll continue to track them here. So, for instance, on last Friday, you went 2-6, but you were only down 1.84 units because you cashed that Winnipeg-Chicago draw, which was your only draw on the card. So if you can get the other side of things straightened up, which we've seen you do many year after year, you're going to finish in the black. So, but in saying all that, we don't have that much time left to fix our records, and they are a catastrophe right now. So let's do it here. 7 p.m. Eastern, Arizona Coyotes 23-31-5, 8-17-5 on the road. At the Ottawa Center is 25-29-3, 17-13-2 at home. Canadian Tire Center in Ottawa, Ontario. Carol Vejmelka, Jonas Korpisalo, 2 goalies playing poorly. I mean, these are 1980 goalie numbers. Korpisalo 887 save percentage, Vejmelka 893 save percentage. Arizona power play 21.7%, penalty killing 78.1. 8.1. Ottawa power play 16.6 and penalty killing 73.7. I just see goals in this hockey game. As soon as I saw it, I was like, God, there's going to be goals. Now, why wouldn't there be goals? First off, you have Clayton Keller missing his second straight game last night. I don't expect him to be back. Arizona on the second half back-to-back lost their 14th straight game 4-2 at Toronto last night. Kerfoot and Cooley scored. And the Senators coming off this very ugly 2-game road trip. I'd be on the Senators for sure if they weren't dealing with all of these injuries. Because they've won 5 of their last 6 at home. That was an ugly 2-game road trip. 6-3 loss at the Capitals, 4-1 loss at Nashville. But Josh Norris, done for the year. And it's actually... it's going to help them a little bit because they're right at the cap. It's not going to help them. Sorry, I take that back. It's going to help their cap issues. Josh Norris is, I hope his shoulder isn't a real problem for him as we move forward because, sorry, let's get this switched over here to this. Okay, there we go. Travis Hamonic is week to week with an undisclosed injury, but Artem Zub has come back, so Zub will take it over. This is the problem. Thomas Chabot and Jake Sanderson, who both just played over 20 minutes, are hurt, and we don't know. They're both undisclosed injuries. They both had MRIs, and we don't know what the hell's going on. Chabot played 20 minutes against the Predators. Sanderson played 25:06. We don't know what's happening with Chabot and Sanderson. That's a problem, especially if you want the over. From a line history standpoint here, Ottawa is sitting right now at minus 186. They opened up at minus 185, so a 1 cent move towards them, nothing. And then from a total standpoint, I got in before this was available at Pinnacle. I got in on over 6.5 at minus 110 at Bet365. Right now, the over 6.5 is at minus 114 at Pinnacle. It got up to minus 125. This was at minus 125 at 8.5 in the morning. So maybe that means that 1 or 2 of Chabot and Sanderson won't be in the lineup. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Our first game on the board, Coyote Senators.
Yeah, I'm doubling up on the over. First period and full game. In fact, I believe for Ottawa, there's been a goal in the first 10 minutes of their games, like in 4 or 5 straight games. So good chance we're going to see an early goal, and I'm going to take my chance we at least see 2 in the opening period. And I don't trust either of these teams defensively. Ottawa has regressed again the last few games. They've been atrocious. Defensively, these 2 losses they suffered against Nashville and Washington. Arizona with Vejmelka in net, they've been an over machine every time he's been in between the pipes. He's really had a rough stretch. So, yeah, I'm going to go over 1.5, minus 150 first period. That's at Bet365. Over 6.5, minus 114 at Pinnacle, full game.
Do you think that this coming down 11 cents on the total means that we're certain, not certain, but one of those 2 defensemen won't be in the lineup?
I think it's check back later. I think one of them will play. If you ask me, I think Sanderson, might be around. Chabot, I think, is a little more dicey, but they haven't been ruled out yet. But it's not going to really hinge on the bet. Arizona with Vejmelka, I think, like 6 or 7 straight Vejmelka starts have gone over the total, so I'm okay with it.
And what was the first period over 1.5?
Minus 150. Minus
150. And I did, just for a half unit, but a half unit on each. I did put, and something I don't usually do, but I was just
actually like both teams to score too, plus price, but I'm gonna leave that one off the card.
I feel you, just in case the 2-0 spot, but I have the over 5.5 parlayed with the Kraken last night in both of my overs here. And to Jay Stone, they're not full year draw stats, but we want it. That's why we track everything so we can get better scalpers. I have Bobano's draw stats here. Now it's just every Friday, but it's been really, really interesting for us to see it. So here, I'll just pop it in the chat. This is his NHL draws, including what happened on Friday. And I'll pop this into the chat. There's my guy, Fat Wally, in the house. Wally, I can't wait to rock with you tomorrow all day. Okay, so and the over 1.5 minus 142 at FanDuel.
All
Thank
right,
you.
We'll
helps
go
us.
with that. Yep.
Let's get the juice down, minus 142. All right, we roll on. Next up for us, 7 p.m. Eastern, we have the Philadelphia Flyers, 31-22-7, 69-5 on the road. The Washington Capitals, 27-22-9, 15-9-5 at home. Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C. Samuel Ursan, he's been great. He's been really good. Now, I know his stats are not that good, 901 save percentage, but who would have... I didn't know that Carter Hart was one of the 2018 juniors who was going to be off to jail. Like, I didn't know that Ursan was going to have to be, the starter here. And that was part of the reason why I took the Flyers not to make the playoffs. Look, I love the Flyers not to make the playoffs. And I got plus 130. Right now, the Flyers not to make the playoffs, which I absolutely love. Right now at 365. It is minus 110 each way. I love it. Love it. Lindgren confirmed, says Coin. I have Kemper set up here, but I thought that it was going to be Lindgren as well. I probably should have set that up. Sammy Comer says draw here. We'll see if Bobano agrees. Philadelphia power play. The reason, okay, I would be on the Grand Salami over tonight, but I can't trust this hockey team. I can't trust what's going to happen here. I can't trust the goals. First off, both power plays are weak, and both penalty killing is so strong. Now, when I say weak, Washington's power play is hot right now. Something we've been waiting for all year. They're up to 18.1% on the year. But the Philadelphia penalty killing is, top 2 or 3 in the league? 86.2% is being phenomenal. Let's get into the line history here for this spot. We have the 6 juice to the under at minus 109. Now, it opened minus 114, so we still have had a 3-cent move to the over. And from a money line standpoint here, we are dealing with Washington at plus 120 at Pinnacle. They opened up at minus 102. There's been a 22-cent move towards the Flyers. And, Flyers coming off a 6-2 win at home versus Tampa on Tuesday, Tampa 2-game losing streak. But I know that they've had Ristolainen out for a long time, but now Jamie Drysdale expected to be done for the year. Travis Konechny not practicing, missed the last 3 games, no timetable on his return. Tyson Forster's taken over for him on the top line. So that top line, Loughton, Tippett, and Forster, come on. Now they can beat the Capitals. I think these are 2 teams that I want to fade nonstop, and the Capitals have hurt me fading them. They've been on a good run. Take it away for us here, Bobano. What interests you? What moves are you making? Flyers, Capitals.
Yeah, this is an interesting game here. I don't like what we've seen for Washington as far as their schedule. They've had to travel now for 7 straight games. Colorado home game at Montreal, home for 1 game, 2 games on the road, 1 game back home against Ottawa, then back-to-back at Detroit, now back home again. That's a lot of travel they've had to do. Now, it's not significant travel. It's all in the East, but when that schedule builds up and the travel builds up like that, that's not something I'm all that excited about. And Philly, I think has played pretty solid these last few games, because if you actually look back, the Rangers and the Penguins game, Cal Peterson just completely took a dump in that game, and then they put him on waivers. And I thought they played okay against Pittsburgh. They just had terrible goaltending. I thought they played well enough to beat the Rangers over the weekend, and then they pummeled the Tampa Bay Lightning 6-2 the other night. And I was on Philly in that game against Tampa Bay. I'm like, my goodness, we're going to make a big deal that Tampa Bay beat a Raddick Islander team and a struggling Devils team over the weekend. We're going to think Tampa Bay's back on track. I couldn't believe that Philly was at that price the other night. And I'm going to come back to Philly here in this game. I trust them more. I think they're the better defensive team. The one thing Washington's doing right now is lighting teams up on the power play. You cannot light up Philadelphia right now on the power play. Their penalty kill is outstanding. They're also a shorthanded goal threat. It's incredible how every time Philly gets the puck shorthanded, they go for a shorthanded chance. So they are very dangerous when they're a man short. I think they're going to be able to thwart that Washington power play. And the 5-on-5 offense for Washington still isn't great. The power play's really been what's coming through for them the last few games. Philly can thwart that. I do like the Flyers here. Minus 116. Actually, no, it's a little higher than that. Minus 125 at FanDuel is what we'll lock in here with the Philadelphia Flyers. And this is the one draw on the card for me. I do like the draw. I don't think Philly's going to win comfortably or easily. I think this will be a close game. We saw a shootout in the previous meeting this year between the 2 teams. This is my one draw on the card, plus 360.
You got it, plus 360. And Kelly McInnes, yes, I know it's but don't worry. NHL is going to take a little bit longer than college basketball. We just didn't need to switch. Don't worry. College basketball, because I won't add any. I'll just set up the games of college basketball and we'll let Bobano roll. The draw was plus 360. Did you say?
Yep.
Plus 360 for the draw. Bobano on the
with
Flyers.
Rocco on the Forster props. One of my favorite player props of the night. That guy, he's on fire right now. He's on the first line. He's on the power play. He stepped up with Travis Konechny out, who's still going to be out tonight, by the way. Yeah, Tyson Forster every way you can in this game.
And Coin got you that Flyers minus 124. Every cent counts. Thank you, Coin, my man. All right, I'm off that game. I just hope people get hurt. Let's move on to 10 p.m. Eastern. New Jersey Devils 30-25-4, 16-10-2 on the road at the Anaheim Ducks, 20-35-3, 8-20-1 at home. We're at the Honda Center in Anaheim, California. I bet the over in this before the Ducks game had started against San Jose. So when I saw it go 6-4, I was like, I'd prefer the Ducks not light up 6 goals, but it is what it is. I'm still the 2 games I've got over is there's not a goalie between the pipe. Oh, I guess sorry there because I was thinking about Charlie. There's not a goalie between the pipes that has a 900 save percentage. I mean, how do the Devils not light up the Ducks?
My best bet, or one of them last night, was that Ducks Sharks over. I mean, I love that from the very beginning. Kakkonen was Kaka against New Jersey the other night when he came in for an injured Blackwood. He was terrible, and he wasn't any better last night. Ben, that was 2 bad teams. It's pond hockey. When you get 2 bad teams, they just trade goals, really.
And we saw that. Great bet. I bet the over 6.5 minus 125, bet 365 before it was available at Pinnacle. Now, Pinnacle opened it up this morning at minus 117. Since then, it's up to minus 123. And then, do you want to take the Devils on the puck line? Right now, the money line, they're at minus 278. They opened up at minus 249. Look, I've got the Devils to make the playoffs. And it was a legit sized wager. And so I don't need that. I just need goals in this game. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm on the over 6.5 at minus 125. Take it away for us here, Bobano, the last game on the NHL card.
Yeah, same thing. That's it for me here. Just the total. Over 6.5, minus 120 DraftKings. We'll lock that in. Very simple reasoning. Anaheim, I don't trust to keep the puck out of their own net, regardless of who's in goal. This is a team that has allowed 9, 3, 7, 3, 4, and 4 in their last 6 games. They've allowed at least 3 goals in 6 straight games. If New Jersey gets to 3, you got to ask yourself, can Anaheim get to 3 here in this game? They might be able to, because the Devils, I'm still not totally sold on them defensively lately. And let's be honest, the San Jose game, they might have lost the San Jose game if Mackenzie Blackwood didn't get hurt. When he got injured, it was 1-0 Sharks after the first period, and he was looking terrific, and he wanted to beat the Devils. You better believe it. They traded him away. And he was playing great, and we saw it definitely in that game that they were in trouble. They were struggling. They were outworked, outplayed by San Jose. So then Blackwood gets hurt. Kakkonen comes in. He gives up a soft goal right away in the second period, another soft goal right after that. And just like that, it's 2-1 New Jersey. And all of a sudden, the team with 0 confidence, a fragile psyche, all of a sudden gets confidence. And then they just destroyed San Jose from that point on. There is no way I'm still laying a price like this with New Jersey. I have to see it again. San Jose crumbled after the Blackwood injury. And if Blackwood doesn't get hurt, I still say they might have lost that game the other night against the Sharks. I'm still not sold they're fixed. I'm still not sold they're back on track. They've gotten through the doldrums and the struggles and the woes they've gone through. The problem is I don't trust Anaheim enough on a back-to-back as well to step up and beat this team. But I do think we'll see goals. I think New Jersey gets 3 at least. And I think Anaheim could chip in here too, because like I said, this Devils team defensively, their recent numbers haven't been good. Regardless of who the goaltenders are, I know we're seeing a Dostal-Dawes projection right now for these 2 teams. But regardless, I think we'll see this game get up and over the total.
So do I, and it's too bad that Troy Terry missing another game last night with the upper body injury. It's 2 straight, 23 points over his last 19 games. Not only that, but will Cam Fowler be in the lineup for the Ducks? Took a puck to the chin in the first period, didn't return, bleeding heavily, questionable tonight. So two important pieces for the Ducks. May or not be there. And the Devils, this is game 2 of a 3-game road trip. You always want to look ahead and prepare ahead. So remember that they play at the Kings on Sunday.
I'm actually shocked you're on 2 overs. I'm usually the over man when we're talking hockey here.
Totally. But I mean, these games just like right away, I was like, good God. Yeah, no, I'm 90% of my totals are unders. So yeah. It's rare for me here, but I love both these spots. So there we have it. That is NHL for today. Let's get into college basketball, but a review of NHL. We're on the same page where we're completely correlated. I'm on the over 6.5 in Arizona, Ottawa. I got it minus 110 as soon as it came. Well, I don't know if it was as soon as it came out. I was trying to get it as soon as it came out. And then Bobano, first period over 1.5, minus 142. And he's on the over 6.5, which is available right now, minus 114 at Pinnacle. In the Flyers Capitals game, I'm off. Bobano's on the Flyers, minus 124, and the draw. I'll be cheering for the Capitals. Bobano's on the over 6.5, as am I. He got minus 120 available right now. I got minus 125 as soon as this came out on Bet365. And this had gone against me 5 cents pretty quickly last night. But right now, I want to just see what it is right now here. And again, Flyers not to make the playoffs is a pick 'em right now. Right now, yeah, So I beat the Coyotes Senators line by 10 cents. I lost to the Devils Ducks line by 5 cents. It is all good. Okay, let's move on to college basketball here. And Bobano, you had a roller coaster ride. Day 8-8 last Friday, but there was some juicy spots there that hurt you. So it was a losing day vig wise, but you were right there. You're right at the back, Black, and we need you, and I need you. I'm in a tailspin in college basketball, as you'll see when the first game comes up. So let's get to work in college basketball right now. We start at 6 p.m. Eastern. Now we'll be true to this 3-minute clock as best that we can, but we are on target right now to be comfortably done by that 1 p.m. spot. So 1 p.m. Eastern spot. So for NBA with Troy Torrence making his debut here with us. So let's roll. First up, 6 p.m. Eastern, we have the Bowling Green Falcons, 17-11, 8-7 in the MAC at the Ohio Bobcats, 16-12, 10-5 in the MAC Convocation Center in Athens, Ohio. These Bowling Green Falcons you backed last Friday. And they took care of you. They were dogs, plus 4.5. They won outright, 76-68 at home over Toledo. Was a great call. They followed that up with a loss versus Miami of Ohio, which was a bit of a surprise. It was just they just couldn't follow up that win against Toledo. Look, that's their only win in their last 5 games. And now they're back out on the road. Ohio has won 3 straight. They beat Kent State at home. They went into Northern Illinois and trashed them. And then they just beat Akron at home. So Ohio now just 2 games out of the lead in the MAC. So the next question is, what number are we getting? Or sorry, who have they played Ohio already? And they have. And they beat Ohio. Bowling Green at home beat Ohio by 5. At that time of the year, Bowling Green looked much better than Ohio. At that time of the year, Bowling Green was 11-4, and they looked good. They were favorites in that game, and they took care of business. The times have changed. Ohio has stepped up. Now, in saying that, we immediately hear from Coyne, who says that all the money is on Ohio and the line is not moving. Let's get into the line history. We're going to be using Bet Online openers and closers. If you're looking for a new account, please use our website. We have a deal with Bet Online, 100% bonus up to $1,000 for new accounts, and it doesn't have to be Bitcoin. It can be anything. So this opened up at 7.5, a half-point move towards Ohio, and then it came back. So you're right. There's been no movement over at Bet Online. And from a total side of things here, let's get this total up. And from a total side of things, we have it sitting at 147.5, open at 149.5. So a 2-point move. And then cash-wise, 42% of the tickets and 85% of the cash is on Ohio. Now, there's only 1,426 tickets in. If somebody was to like Ohio to smash Bowling Green here, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But the line isn't moving. That is true. And then from a total side of things here, 76% of tickets, 88% cash on the under. We've seen it drop 2 points. Bobano, take it away. Floor is yours. Maction, and you were nailed Bowling Green last Friday. What are you doing with them this Friday?
I think I'm coming back to them here, honestly. You look at Ohio, they are playing well, 3 wins straight and straight up in ATS. Kent State at home, Akron at home, but that's the win of the season for them, that game against Akron. And now you got to come back from that huge victory against a big-time rival. And for those of you that don't get it, Ohio-Akron is a huge rivalry in the MAC, and especially in college basketball, because these 2 programs have had really good teams over the years. And that is a huge game every single time they play. And I'm not sure I'm trusting Ohio laying this number. Now, Bowling Green has not played well probably since the early part of February, 1-4 straight up. The only win was against Toledo, though, at home. And that's a pretty good team. But I think in a spot like this, you're going to get a pretty good effort from them. And more than anything, this is also sometimes styles make fights. Bowling Green has done very well against this Ohio team. They've, in fact, covered 5 of the last 6 head-to-head meetings here versus Ohio. They beat them already early this year. I know it's revenge for Ohio, but this is a rivalry game. Yes, this is an in-state rivalry game. This is a rivalry to me that means more to Bowling Green than it does to Ohio. The rivalry games that mean more in the state to Ohio are the Toledo games and the Akron games. Those are the teams that are the bigger teams in the conference, the better teams in the conference, and Ohio always raises their game to play those teams. Doesn't happen with Bowling Green. So I think in this spot with Ohio coming off that big win against Akron, Bowling Green can keep this competitive. So Bowling Green +8, -120 for me at Pinnacle.
Bowling Green +8 at minus what? What's that?
-120.
-120. Bobano is locked and loaded. We roll on. Next up, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, Arkansas State Red Wolves, 16-14, 11-6 in the Sun Belt at the Appalachian State Mountaineers, 25-5, and now 15-2 in the Sun Belt at Holmes Convocation Center. This one in Boone, North Carolina. What a run App State's on. They have a 1-game lead over James Madison, a 2-game lead over Troy, and a 4-game lead over these Arkansas State Red Wolves. Both teams come in on real legit winning streaks. The Bowling Green, the App State Mountaineers have won 6 straight. And not only that, they lost at Texas State, but before that, they'd won 8 straight. So they've won 14 of their last 15. And they haven't played Arkansas State. This is the final game of the conference season here. I can't believe it's come to that. March Madness so soon here. There's Ray Pays in the house. Great to see you. So here we go. This total is sitting at 148.5. It opened up at 149. We have a half-point drop to the under from a spread up. Oh, sorry. I thought I had that up. I don't have that up yet. Let's get over to the spread perspective here. From a spread look, we have App State right now sitting at -7. They opened up at -6. So they now this is bounced all over the place. So this immediately went to 7, then it came back to 6.5. Then it was at 5.5. It was at 5.5 at 1 this morning. It only lasted there for about 45 minutes before it went to 6, 6.5, and 7. So we have a full 1-point move towards App State. 80% of the tickets, 95% of cash on the under, and on the spread, it's a 50-50 situation. 43% of tickets, 51% of cash on Arkansas State. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Red Wolves, Mountaineers.
I think I'm going to be on the dog here, too. I mean, Arkansas State's been a moneymaker for me. I mean, 9 straight ATS victories for Arkansas State. The Red Wolves have been an undervalued commodity really for a solid month, more than a month. I mean, when you cover 9 straight, the betting markets clearly have you mispriced. And that's exactly what we've seen here from Arkansas State. I get it. App State clinches the regular season Sun Belt title with a win here. I get it. They're 15-1 straight up on their home court. But Arkansas State's playing their best basketball of the season. The question you have to ask yourself, is Arkansas State playing well enough to give App State a game? To me, the answer is yes. Yeah. The other question you have to ask yourself, do they want to play spoiler? Do they want to keep App State, or at least try to keep App State from clinching the regular season title tonight? I think the answer is yes. I like Arkansas State. They're just playing too well to be given this number of points right now. +7.5, -114 at Bobano.
Arkansas State +7.5. Was that -119?
-114.
-114. My apologies. -114 at Botano. JP Taylor says teasing Ark State and Bowling Green seems possible. And Andrew G saying App State needs to win this game. No need to cover the spread. And Puddin saying this line is short. So this is a very interesting spot.
They're scary at home, App State. There's no doubt. They're capable of blowing out even Arkansas State tonight. They could win by double digits. They are that good, especially at home. But I've been rewarded with Arkansas State multiple times the last month during this 9-0 ATS run. And I get the feeling that, there's going to be people piling on with App State here saying, they got to have the win. They can clinch the regular season title. Must win doesn't equal will win. And look, they're comfortable winning this game by any margin, not necessarily by more than 8 or more points. So, like I say, I think Arkansas State, they're playing too well right now and to be given this number of points tonight.
It's a really interesting situation. One thing I've been thinking about with the struggle I've had this week is lines are pretty tight right now.
Yes.
Where we had the advantage, the advantage just keeps going away, day by day as the books get tighter. And I'm seeing that here with, this losing streak that I'm on 6 straight losses.
There's a lot of teams that have been in good situations, good spots. The line is telling you maybe that they're in a good situation. Take them. And the bad teams are not rising up to the good spot. Look at Texas A&M the other night against South Carolina. They're supposed to be in a really good situation there, and they're just a bad team. They couldn't get it done in what was a good situation. You're seeing that a lot right now.
Yeah, no, it's well put. All right, let's roll on for us. Next up for us, 7 p.m. Eastern, we head over to the Metro Atlantic. Come on, set this up here. Where is Manhattan?
Game
We
of the
head over
night
to the
right here.
Oh, sorry, my man. What was that?
Game of the night right here. I'm kidding.
It is ugly.
Holy
There's
shit.
no doubt about it, but we love bum fights. We love bum fights here. So let's roll. Manhattan Jaspers 5-20, 2-14 in the Metro Atlantic at the Siena Saints, 4-23, 3-13 in the Metro Atlantic. We're in Albany, New York for this one. We have Siena right now as 2.5-point dogs. This opened up as a pick'em. There's been a 2.5-point move over to Manhattan here. From a total standpoint, this is sitting at 136.5. This has climbed briskly. This opened up at 133.5 and climbed, immediately. So we have a move to the over and a move to Manhattan. It's funny that there's a move to Manhattan because 60% of the tickets and 93% of the cash is on Siena. That is wildly interesting. Now, we're only talking about 560 tickets, so we shouldn't get too carried away. Siena's lost 3 straight. Their last win at Manhattan, beat them badly, 68-63. Does Manhattan have and that was not long ago. That just happened. That happened on the 10th of February. Does Manhattan have an answer here? The books certainly think they do. Take it away, Bobano. Jasper Saints.
Manhattan laying points on the road is telling you all you need to know. They probably win this game, quite honestly. When you look at this here with Manhattan, they did lose to Siena at home 68-63. But Manhattan, for as bad as both of these teams are, they're both bad. They're 2 of the worst teams in the conference. Manhattan actually has more road wins, okay? Manhattan has more road wins than Siena has home wins. Manhattan has 3 road wins. Siena has 2 home wins. Manhattan is very capable of going in there and winning this game, in my opinion. And look, Siena, they had that 1 win against Manhattan that we talked about, and Manhattan's in revenge here for that. What have they done since? 0-3 straight up, 0-3 against the spread. Losses by 9 or more points in all 3 games, St. Peter's, Canisius, and Fairfield. Canisius isn't very good either. And then St. Peter's is an okay team, not great this year. They got routed by 22, routed by 24 at Fairfield. Yes, this is an ugly game, but I think I'm going to move on Manhattan here in this game. Let me see if the money line's still in a reasonable price, because I did take a snip of the money line earlier and it was a little better. Yeah, let's add it. Manhattan minus 134. FanDuel.
Manhattan minus 134 for Bobano. It certainly feels like that is the right side. I expect to be joining you here. All this money on Siena and the line moving against them. I like that. Look, Bobano has moved on
Revenge
Manhattan.
Spot. 2 bad teams, but look, revenge spot for Manhattan. They have more road wins than Siena has home wins. That should give you some degree of confidence they can win this game on the road. Siena's terrible at home. They've been terrible all year, not just straight up ATS as well. They've been awful at home. Awful.
Let's roll on to the next spot on the board. We have Ryder on the road. 7 p.m. Eastern. Ryder Bronx 12-16, 9-8 in the Metro Atlantic at Niagara. Purple Eagles 14-12, 10-6. Also 10-6, not also, but 10-6 in the Metro Atlantic. Gallagher Center in Niagara Falls, New York. Let's get into the line history first and foremost on the spread. Oh, shoot. Sorry. I thought I had this all set up here. Let me grab it. Ryder, Niagara. Here we go. A Ryder sitting right now as 2-point dogs over at BetOnline. They open up as 3-point dogs. So there has been a point move towards Ryder. Now, there was a point immediately. It came back half point, then it came back again. So a 1-point move towards the Bronx. From a total side of things here, we are dealing with a 144.5. This opened up at 148.5. We've now dropped 4 points on this spread. And then when we get to the cash flow for this spot, past the 8 p.m. games, we have 42% of the tickets and 54% of the cash on Niagara. It's moved a point towards Ryder. And we have really no help on the total. Only 534 tickets in. 53% of the tickets are on the over. Ryder's won 4 straight basketball games. They're playing well. Niagara, just had a 3-game run of road games, and they look pretty good to start. They beat Fairfield at Fairfield. They beat Quinnipiac, and then they lost to Canisius by 10. That was last Friday. And then Ryder versus Niagara is the next thing we need to see. They played Niagara and they lost. They lost at home. Niagara, the Road Warriors that they've been all year, went to Lawrenceville and beat them 78-74. Ryder was 2.5-point favorites and couldn't seal the deal. Niagara shot 51.9 from the field and 50% from 3. I had 17 turnovers compared to Ryder's just 8, but still got the job done. It was a very, very close game throughout. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Ryder, Niagara.
Niagara Fridays with your friend Bobano. That's what this is. I like them again here. Purple Eagles, cheap, undervalued in my opinion. I know Ryder's playing great basketball, 4 in a row, straight up in ATS. Let's pump the brakes, though. I mean, Manhattan, Mount St. Mary's with a couple of those. Iona was a decent win. The one good win I'll give him credit was Quinnipiac. That was pretty good last week, 88-78. But it was a huge victory. Now you're going on the road for a couple this weekend. Niagara at Canisius as well. And you got Niagara. Niagara, too, another thing to factor in with this coach, Greg Paulus, who's done a great job. They've been great off a loss this year. Very, very good off a loss. And look at these recent games where they lost. They had a bad loss against Manhattan as home favorites. Next game, they go to St. Peter's on the road. They win outright as underdogs. They have a loss to Iona. They bounce back, and they beat one of the better teams in the conference, Fairfield, on the road in their next game. They've been very good off a loss. I think they rally the troops. That Canisius game, look, crazy shit happens in a rivalry game, right? We know Canisius isn't very good. But, crazy things can happen. That's a big-time Western New York, upstate New York rivalry every year, Niagara and Canisius. Crazy things. Throw out the records. Anything can happen in those games. And that's what we saw last week. I think Niagara rights the ship here. I still think they're the better team as well, especially when you look at them at home. So I like Niagara here, minus 130 at DraftKings. And I'm going to fade the move on the total here. Ryder overs have been good to me. Been on a bunch of them lately here in this game. Troy, I'm not on the under here. I like the over, in fact. I'm bucking the market here. 3 straight overs with Ryder, 7-1 to the over in their last 8 games. And these two teams played an over back in January, 78-74, 152 points. I'm a little surprised this total's trickling down the way it is. I think matchup-wise, stylistically, I think there should be more points than what we see right now with the total. So over 144.5, minus 110.
Over 144.5, minus 110, and Niagara moneyline minus 134. Bobano. We stay in the Metro Atlantic. Our next spot, 7 p.m. Eastern, we have the Quinnipiac Bobcats. Quinnipiac Bobcats, 19-8, 11-5 in Metro Atlantic at the Iona Gales, 13-14, 8-8 Metro Atlantic Heinz Athletic Center in New Rochelle, New York. These Bobcats have lost 4 straight. You just spoke of that 88-78 loss at Ryder. They've lost 4 straight. Remember, this team was 11-1 in the conference and looking like they were just going to take it over. Now they are a half game back of Fairfield and a half game up on St. Peter's. 4 straight losses. And Iona has lost 3 straight games as well. They just lost at Mount St. Mary's 72-65. They lost at Ryder 78-75 before then. So both teams who've been very good in this conference are struggling mightily come the end of the season. And they faced Iona. Quinnipiac did earlier in the year. It was a 91-87 win for Quinnipiac. They came back in the second quarter. They shot second half. They shot 58.9% from the field, and they were down quite a lot in this game. They were down 58-44 with 16 minutes left. They came all the way back, but that was when they were running well. Now they are not running well. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. We have Iona sitting minus 2.5. They opened up at minus 2.5. They got up to 3, then back down to 2. But right now they're exactly where they started, minus 2.5. From a total side of things here, we are dealing with a 151. This opened up at 153. The interesting thing about this is that at 8:30 this morning, it got all the way down to 149. So still had a 2-point drop, but not the 4-point drop that we'd seen earlier. And then cash flow wise, 26% of the tickets and 76% of the cash is on Quinnipiac. An 87% of tickets and 98% of the cash is on the under. Take it away for us here, Bobano, Bobcats, Gales at Heinz Athletic Center.
I'd love to know who was betting under in this game. Was it the same people that were betting under with Quinnipiac and Fairfield last week, that Friday night game, and we were on talking about that game? I didn't touch the total in that game, but I know everyone was hammering the under in that game, and it ended up flying over the total. Quinnipiac is a very difficult team to bet under the total. They play fast. They're a good offensive team, and all of a sudden, the last few games, their defense has been shredded, and I mean gutted, shredded, just destroyed. They give up 96 to Mount St. Mary's. 80 to Niagara, 85 to Fairfield, 88 in the loss over the weekend against Ryder. This is a team that defensively has just crumbled, the Bobcats. They can't get stops right now. They're not contesting, and people are scoring every which way against them. 2-pointers, 3-point defense has been terrible. Quinnipiac is just, the defense has fallen off, and that's a big reason why they're struggling down the stretch, 0-4 straight up, 0-4 against the spread. So you got a team that plays fast and can't get any stops right now. That's not a recipe for an under, in my opinion. And when you look at Iona on the flip side, look, they're not playing great right now either. They've lost 3 straight. They haven't failed to cover in 5 straight. And this is frustrating to me because I thought Iona was starting to turn a corner. And then all of a sudden, here they are 1-4 straight up, 0-5 against the spread their last 5 games. And the only win was against a lowly Manhattan Jaspers team. So it's not easy to take Iona here, but it is revenge for Iona. Quinnipiac has been a kind of a fade team for me the last few. Remember, I was on Fairfield last week, Friday, on this show. One of my winners here with you was Fairfield, plus the points against Quinnipiac. Ended up winning outright. They're still a fade for me. I'm going to buy in, even though Iona's struggling too. I'm going to buy in on Iona here. At home, with revenge, a coach that knows how to win in March. Let's not forget who the coach is, right? Tobin Anderson, Fairleigh Dickinson last year. Got him to the tournament. This is a guy that knows how to get his teams playing better in March. Now, we haven't seen it for Iona in February, but guess what? Today's March 1st. It's March now. Time to get going, Tobin Anderson. Believe in that culture that he brings to this program from a coaching standpoint. So, look, this is just a coach that year in and year out there at that Fairleigh Dickinson school, FDU. He won in March. He was a good coach at this time of year in the month of March. And I think Iona, with a Quinnipiac team that's vulnerable right now, that isn't stopping anything on defense, Iona can win this game. So 2 plays for me here, Jimmy. Iona minus 140, money line at Botano. And I'm also going to go with this over here. Over 150.5, minus 105 at the score bet.
You got it. Iona minus 140, the over 150.5 for Quinnipiac, Iona. We stay in the Metro Atlantic. We got 2 more spots here in the Metro Atlantic for 7 p.m. action. 7 p.m. action. Fairfield Stags. We just heard Bobano talk about backing them with success last Friday. 18-10, 12-5 in conference at Marist. Red Foxes 15-10, 10-6 in conference. McCann Arena in Poughkeepsie, New York. Now these teams met. Back on January 7th. Fairfield was 1.5-point favorites, and they demolished Marist, 82-61. They were up 20 points basically for the last, 5 minutes of the first half and the whole second half. They demolished them. And Fairfield's at the top of the charts now. We just talked about that. They're a half game up on Quinnipiac, a full game up on St. Peter's, and Marist is a game and a half back. And there are more. This schedule doesn't end here. They've got 3 more games, or 2 more. Does Fairfield after this, but there's time for if Marist wins this game, they're in business. They can make a move to the top of the ledger as well. This is a cluster up top, and it hurts that they just lost at St. Peter 69-60. They had the winning streak coming in. They lost. Fairfield has won 3 straight. So the question is, can Marist exact revenge here and be right up at the top of the ledger? Let's go over the line history here. We'll start with the total. This total is sitting at 136. It opened up at 136, so we're right back where it started. It did go up to 137. It dropped to 135, U-shaped movement. From a spread scenario here, we have, where is it? We have Marist right now at -1. They opened up at -2, and this was a pick'em. So there has been a 1-point move towards Fairfield. And then cash-wise here, sorry, I thought I had it up. Let's get it here. Cash-wise, 78% of the tickets and 67% of the cash is on Fairfield. 22 and 33 on Marist, but the market has moved it. 68% of tickets on the under, and no helpful information for the cash there. Nothing there. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Stags, Red Foxes.
Really interesting game. This really, really is. It's a very important game when you look at where things stand out. Because remember, the Metro Atlantic still has one more weekend left. So you're still talking about seeding implications here for the conference tournament, which is suddenly right around the corner. After next weekend, it'll be Metro Atlantic. They play their conference tournament 2 weeks from now. There's a lot of conferences that play their conference tournament next week. But it's still 2 weeks away for the Metro Atlantic right now with their conference tournament. But you look at this matchup here, Fairfield, 12-5. They're trying to hang on to the top spot, fend off Quinnipiac for first in the conference. They're only half a game ahead of them, so every game is important for them. If Marist wins, they're 11-6. Fairfield's 12-6. So all of a sudden, Marist is back in the conversation for top spot. So this is actually a very big game here with the Stags and the Red Foxes tonight. Fairfield's really playing well. I have a tough time betting against Fairfield right now. They're playing very well, 6-1 straight up in their last 7 games. I think they've got arguably the best guards in the conference right now when you look at Jalen Leach and Caleb Fields. Say nothing of Bryson Godin. These are 3 really good players for them. Great guard play, great perimeter play, and that really wins at this time of year. And they're really shooting well. Playing great offensively, scoring a ton of points, 3 straight overs. They've scored 94, 85, 88 in their last 3 games. And so it is indeed, as someone in our chat here says, Andrew, it is. It's classic offense versus defense matchup. But Marist gets it done at the defensive end. You know, that's been their bread and butter. So does great defense shut down great offense in this game? You know, that's what you have to ask yourself. We saw these teams play earlier this year at Fairfield. It was a blowout. Fairfield won by 21. In fact, Fairfield's owned this series since January 23rd, 2022. You know, Fairfield's won 4 straight and covered 4 straight, including 2 in a row at Marist, beating them 69-66, 70-61 on this home floor 2 years in a row. So keep that in mind. And because I think Fairfield's going to win this game, Jimmy, I'm going to take Fairfield. I'm going to take the over. This is a correlated game if there ever was one. If you like Fairfield to win, you like the over. If you like Marist to win, you probably like the under, because if they're going to win, they're going to keep this game low scoring, and that defense is going to shut down Fairfield's high potent attack. I'm not sure that's going to be the case. Fairfield has clearly had a matchup advantage over this team. They're in great form. They're closing in on locking in that number 1 spot in the Metro Atlantic. They take a huge step toward getting that number 1 seed and the regular season title and the number 1 seed for the conference tournament with a win tonight. They're just playing too well right now. And to me, I think their guards can do damage against even a very solid defensive team like Marist. So for me in this game, we're going to go with the dog, Fairfield, plus the 1.5 minus 120 at BetMGM. And I'm also going to grab over 136 minus 115 at DraftKings.
Over 136 at minus 115. I don't have the conviction to go up against that. It's too bad. I would like to.
They have really good guard play. And you know I watch my Metro Atlantic basketball. I showed you the picture the one day there. There's me watching St. Peter's and Marist or something it was on a Sunday afternoon. I watch a ton of this conference. Their guard play is no joke, Fairfield. It's really, really good.
Yeah. No, I don't have the conviction to go up against it. Also, Billy Friedrich with you as well. I'll stay off. Bobano on Fairfield plus 1.5 in the over 136. A couple things here. Just so wonderful to see our guy Nutflush Allen in the chat here with all that's going on with him. You know, just love you so much, Mike, and great to see you here with us. And we've been talking about you on every show and thinking about you and sending love to you and your family and strength. And just as you lead by example, just know that we're with you. We're with you.
Absolutely.
And secondly, don't forget, we have our horse race at the end of the day. Our big horse race popping off for $50 American for gold members. Our horse race popping off Kent Davis says, I want to bet Fairfield, but somebody's giving me off. I was the other side. I was on the other side, but I'm not going to. I don't have a conviction there. So let's roll on. Next up for us, 7 p.m. Eastern. This is our final 7 p.m. game in the Metro Atlantic. I believe it's our last game overall it's our last game in the Metro Atlantic. So time is working well. This 3-minute clock working very well. Thank you, Jose, for being so attentive about it. Mount St. Mary's Mountaineers 12-16, 8-9 in the Metro Atlantic. Canisius Golden Griffins 11-15, 6-10. We're at the Kostler Center in Buffalo, New York. Let's get into the line history here for this one. Also, these two teams played against each other. They played back on January 5th. Mount St. Mary's won 74-69. They were 2.5-point favorites. It was a close game throughout. And basically, Canisius just stopped scoring with about 5 minutes left in that game, and Mount St. Mary's took it home. Canisius shot just 38.2% from the field and 26.1% from three in that one, and lost. So that was the lone time they've met. 3 games left in the season here, and Mount St. Mary's snapped their 3-game losing streak. They won at home over Iona 72-65, and now they head back on the road. Canisius, 2-game winning streak. They won 3 of their last 4. They're coming off a home win over Niagara 69-59. Let's get into the line history here. First off, Canisius opens up at -1. They're now -2. A 1-point move towards Canisius. From a total side of things, we are dealing with make sure it's right. Oh, no, it's Fairfield Mare. Sorry. From a total side of things, we are dealing with a 142. This opened up at 143.5. It's now 142. And take a look at the cash flow. For the cash flow, we have 39% of tickets and 54% of the cash on Canisius, 78 and 99 on the under. I can fix that here. Sorry, I got the wrong banner. Thank you. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Jose. So take it away for us here, Bobano. Mount St. Mary's, Canisius, Golden Griffins.
So this is a bit of a tricky one. Canisius, are they turning a corner? Because they've been pretty bad most of the season, especially in conference play. And entering this game, they're still at 6-10 in the conference. It's not like Mount St. Mary's is a lot better, 8-9. And Canisius, look, they've won 2 home games in a row. Iona and Niagara, they're pretty solid teams, both of those teams. They won and covered outright as underdogs both times. Can they keep it going here? I don't know. They were dogs in those games. Maybe the opponents took them a little bit lightly. But they are playing better. They've won 3 of the last 4. I think Mount St. Mary's is the better of these two teams. I just do. And they beat Iona in their last game, 72-65 at home. They haven't always played like it, but they played a Rider team that's surging. They played a very good Fairfield team leading the conference right now. St. Peter's was a game they could have won, and they fell short. They had won 4 straight before the little 3-game losing streak they had, which got snapped with the Iona win. But before that, they had a win against Quinnipiac very impressively at home. Wins on the road, including a win on the road at Marist. It was a solid team in this conference. And since Mount St. Mary's joined the Metro Atlantic before the start of last season, these two teams have played 4 times. Canisius hasn't beaten Mount St. Mary's yet. Mount St. Mary's is 4-0 against Canisius since the Mount joined the Metro Atlantic Conference before the start of last season. So clearly there's been a matchup advantage. This is one of those games where I'm gonna make a decision by the time I exit and depart on this show, whether I move on Mount St. Mary's, but I'm definitely leaning in that direction with Mount St. Mary's here +2.
Interesting. See, at this point for me, I believe in what we're seeing from Canisius, and this is no slight on Mount St. Mary's. Mount St. Mary's is a good basketball team in the Metro Atlantic. They're not a walkover. Shout out to Kev Reed, now member of We Be Poppin'. Can't wait to rock with you tomorrow, Kev. It's been too long since we've hammered horses together. And I'm very interested to hear if you pull the trigger. I plan on believing what I'm seeing from Canisius late in the year. We talk about this is a time where you really see the coaching and the teams develop, and I've seen Canisius develop. I do fear Mount St. Mary's, and you're right. They've had some pretty impressive road games. That the Fairfield loss, no harm in that. We know what Fairfield can do at home, but also I don't have in front of me because I've moved on to the next game, but who they beat, who they lost to 61-57 right before then. God, I can't remember, but the good teams. But in saying all that, I believe in what I'm seeing, Canisius. I've got asterisks beside Canisius right now. We'll hear if I'm going to need extra conviction if Bobano moves on Mount St. Mary's. So let's move on, though. Let's move on. We head over to the A-Sun for the next spot, 7 p.m. Eastern. Florida Gulf Coast Eagles 13-17. There's my guy JT in the house. Great to see you. 7-8 in the A-Sun. The Jacksonville Dolphins 14-15. 5-10 in the A-Sun. We're at Swisher Gymnasium in Jacksonville, Florida. Oh, I had it all set up. My bad. Florida Gulf Coast. What the hell did I just do? There we go. From a total side of things, this is sitting at 132. Opened up at 131.5. It's interesting because this went down to 128 yesterday afternoon. So it's come back. Then from a point spread analysis, this opened up with Jacksonville minus 1.5. There's been 7 cents of movement towards Florida Gulf Coast, but that's it. It's never moved off of that number. And then cash wise, you have 60% of the tickets and 84% of the cash on Florida Gulf Coast. Now 1,171 tickets in. I don't really see the books adjusting. And then 90% of the tickets and 98% of the cash on the over. So it's a very interesting market situation here. Take it away for us, Bobano. Florida Gulf Coast Eagles, Jacksonville Dolphins.
I think we talked Jacksonville last Friday on this show. I think they played last Friday, and yes, they did against North Florida. And I said, there's no way I'm going against Jacksonville on their home court. They've had a very good home court, 11-2 straight up on the season at home. And I probably kept myself off a game. I probably should have been on Jacksonville in that game. It's Jacksonville or nothing for me in this game. I mean, they're very good at home. They are off a loss at home to Stetson, but how many times have they lost 2 in a row at home? This is now 3rd straight home game for Jacksonville. So they beat North Florida Friday. They then lost at home to Stetson at a pick-em price range on Wednesday. And now here they are playing on a Friday against Florida Gulf Coast. Florida Gulf Coast played Wednesday as well, so there's no major scheduling advantage. And they beat a rival, North Florida, 79-60 in that game. Very impressive road win for the Florida Gulf Coast Eagles. But before that, they had lost 3 straight, on the road. So we'll see how they fare here in this one. But coming off a win like that, Jacksonville, to my recollection, they have not dropped 2 straight home games. And now they're at home, off a home loss. Jacksonville or nothing for me. I'm going to go ahead and make it official. Give me the Jacksonville side here. I missed having them last week on my card. I'm not going to miss again. Minus 120 at Pinnacle.
And they got destroyed by Florida Gulf Coast.
Revenge spot too.
That they faced each other. I mean, this was Florida. I mean, there was a late run by Jacksonville, but Florida Gulf Coast spent a lot of that game up 20 points, even though despite they turned the ball over 20 times, did Florida Gulf Coast out-rebounded Jacksonville 39-24.
I remember being on here last Friday saying I lean Jacksonville, but I didn't make it official, and they won pretty comfortably. So, yeah, we're making up for that tonight.
Jacksonville Dolphins. That's an interesting spot. I'm going to need more time on it. What was the line you got?
Yeah, just money line, minus 120. I don't screw around with minus 1.5, minus 2, minus 2.5. Usually when it's a short home favorite in that price range, we just take the money line. We don't want to mess around with that.
All right, locked in. We have a couple more 7 p.m. games, and we're going to be talking Ivy League here for a little while. We're going to get back to the A-Sun. Going to go to the Ivy League. Going to hit the Sun Belt for a little bit, but we'll be back here. We'll be back in the A-Sun here shortly. So we move on. 7 p.m. Eastern, Dartmouth Big Green. Dartmouth Big Green here. On the road, 5-19, just 1-10 in the Ivy League at Yale Bulldogs, 18-8, 9-2 in the Ivy League. Gotta get this over here. I don't know what the hell's wrong with my... Oh, there we go. Okay, let's take a look at the line history here for this spot, our first Ivy League spot on the day. Yale right now, 19.5 point favorites. 19.5 point favorites. They opened up at 20.5, so there's been a 1 point move towards Dartmouth. Then from a total standpoint, we have it sitting at 132.5, opened up at 131.5, so we have a 1 point move towards the over. From a cash flow scenario here. God, sorry, this Dartmouth Yale spot up here. Here we go. 94% of the tickets are on Yale. We have no information on the cash flow. We have no information on cash flow on the total either, but 56% of the tickets are on the under. Huge dog here in the Ivy League with the Big Green. And they're in the throes of a losing streak. Yale had lost 2 straight at Princeton, at Cornell. Then they beat Columbia at Columbia 84-76 last out. So they had played 4 straight road games. They haven't been home since the 10th of February. So it's been a very, very long time. And they got Yale destroyed Dartmouth earlier this year, 76-51. Now, this was a decent game. This was 32-28. And then all of a sudden it was 61-32. I remember this game. I remember this spot when Yale just completely took over in the early start of the second half. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Dartmouth, Big Green, Yale Bulldogs.
Yeah, the last home, they've been on the road for 4 straight. The last home game was when they beat Cornell, and tough road slate. They lost to Cornell, which was a tough one. They bounced back. They beat Columbia in their last game. Man, this is just, this one's tricky. Dartmouth's horrible. We know that. They did cover last game, though, at home against Princeton. They were getting 16. They lost by 12. But on the road as dogs, they did cover at Cornell, and then they had losses by 10 to Columbia, 18 to Harvard, and then by 18 against Princeton as well. But again, 18, 10, 9, the margin of defeat for Dartmouth in their last 4 road games. None of those amount to 20. God help me, I'm leaning Dartmouth, but I don't think I can pull the trigger. Yale could roll by 20 plus. Yeah, it's a pass for me.
Yeah, I get it. Give me a free play. I wouldn't mind, sitting there but we haven't seen Yale at home for a long time. Do they just destroy Dartmouth here?
Yeah.
It's in the realm of possibilities. Although we did see 94% of tickets on Yale and the 1-point move against them. Kent Davies says Yale is, I don't give a fuck what the line is, play of the day. Let's move on. We head to the Sun Belt for 2 games here. We start 7 p.m. Eastern with the Marshall Thundering Herd, 12-18, 7-10 in conference at the Georgia State Panthers, 13-6, 7-10 in conference as well. We're in Atlanta, Georgia for this one. And Marshall's in the throes of a losing streak. They've lost 6 straight games. They've lost 7 of their last 8. But they did beat Georgia State back on January 24th. They're coming off an ugly 14-point loss at Georgia Southern. But they did beat Georgia State back on Wednesday, January 24th. That was before they started falling apart. In that one, they were 3.5 point favorites. They were at home. It was a very close game until late. Marshall still shot 25% from 3. I mean, they didn't look very good doing any of that. So will Georgia State exact revenge here in this one? Let's take a look at the line history. Georgia State coming off 2 straight losses at home. They lost 68-59 to Texas State. Texas State's had a bad year, so it was an ugly loss. Then they played very good against James Madison. James Madison, a game behind App State. Played well, played hard. So this is their 4th straight home game. Can they take care of business? Let's get into the line history here for this one. God, sorry, this mess of games here. God, I'm just losing my mind here with these games. Why don't I get into the I'm losing my mind here with these games. Why don't you start rolling, and then I will pull up the line history and everything for this one here. So Marshall Thundering Herd at Georgia State Panthers, Bobano.
There's no way I'm taking Marshall. There's just not a chance, especially on the road. 3-8 straight up, 4-7 against the spread on the road here. They've been awful. They've been 6 straight losses straight up in ATS, and no, I can't bat. And a lot of these losses, too, they haven't been in the game down the stretch. 16-point loss, 15-point loss, 7-point loss, 26-point loss, 7-point loss, 14-point loss the other night against Georgia Southern. They haven't even been, in many of these games down the stretch. So for me, it's Georgia State or nothing. But Marshall has owned them. Marshall's 3-0 straight up, 3-0 against the spread against Georgia State since they joined the Sun Belt. So there's been that little issue where Marshall has just had a matchup advantage over Georgia State. That does concern me. But, man, I would still lean to the Panthers here. I like the over. The over I will make official here in this game. I think we're going to see points. I think if you're Marshall, they've kind of gone back to the old ways of doing things. Let them score points. We don't trust our defense. Let's just crank up the pace, crank up the tempo. They've been trying to do that. And I think you might see, a little more of that here moving forward. So we'll see how it goes. Marshall, again, the last game was a much better offensive game from them than what we've seen. Their defense, though, it continues to be bad. And Georgia State's a team that'll play with a decent amount of pace as well. So the only bet for me is going to be that total here, over 151. Let me just see what the best price currently is. Yeah, over 151 minus 110, Bet Rivers.
Over 151 minus 110. This total opened up at 147, and it's now up to 152 at some books. 151 minus 117 here at Bet Online. From a spread spot, this opened up with Georgia State -4. They're now -3. It's not quite a real -3. It was, but there was a 10-cent move towards Georgia State, so it's more of a 3.5 right now, but it's listed as a 3. And Marshall has 20% of tickets and 39% of the cash. 59% of tickets, 99% of cash on the over. Coin talking about 99% on this Georgia State over. Look, if you're going to back a spot that has 99% on a side, you want the market to be moving dramatically because of it, and it is. So it's not. You don't need to be too concerned here. It is senior night in Jacksonville.
Yep, keep an eye on that, guys. That's a big handicapping factor this next week, especially the regular season winding down and all these conferences. You want to be aware of senior night. Final home game for the seniors in the regular season. Although I think going into yesterday, the senior night angle was only 20-19 against the spread. So it's not been overwhelming like, oh, we're going to just bet the senior night every time it happens. No, you don't do that either, but you do have to be aware of it.
And Jacksonville senior night. Bobano has moved on Jacksonville. We're going to stay in the Sun Belt for the next spot on the board, but we do want to discuss here very quickly before you start the chart.
Jimmy, I got to add something from that Jacksonville game. I forgot I'm on the over in that game as well. That total's too low. They had 150 points in the first meeting. Jacksonville's games, they don't play fast, but they've been getting up into the mid to 130s. It's just the total's low enough. It should get up and over that number. So, yeah, I forgot to mention that. I'm on the over there in that game with Florida Gulf Coast and Jacksonville, over 131.5 minus 110 at FanDuel.
Over 131 at minus 110 over at FanDuel. You are locked in. So, again, the Gold members horse race every Tuesday and Friday. And that's not all you get now with the Gold membership. We've added a couple things for the Gold membership. First off, we have added the discounts to the Pub Sports Radio store. But the big thing that we've added, and it's not set yet, but we're setting it up, is a Peter Loshak gambling group chat. Will be available to only the PSR Gold members. A direct line to Pistol Pete Loshak. That'll be for the Gold members here, and we're excited about it. We're excited about it, and he's just a wealth of information. So that is something that we will be adding for the Gold members. All right, we are going to roll on here. We just had Bobano add the over 131.5 in Florida Gulf Coast, Jacksonville Dolphins. We are perfectly on pace here for Troy Torrence, who will be making his NBA debut, opening up his NBA account here on Betting with the Bag. He'll be joining us here in 40 minutes. So next up for us, 7 p.m. Eastern action, the Old Dominion Monarchs, 7-23, 3-14 in the Sun Belt. At the Georgia Southern Eagles, 7-23, 7-10 in the Sun Belt. We're in W.S. Hanner Fieldhouse in Statesboro, Georgia for this one. Now, Old Dominion got a win at home versus Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina at the bottom of the group. They are actually ahead of Old Dominion, but it was a nice win against them. Then they came back to earth in Boone, losing 88-64 at App State. Tough place to play. They got completely demolished in this game. They got out-rebounded 47-27. This was, immediately 36-16. 47-24. It was 51-26 at halftime. I mean, they just got absolutely demolished after that lone win. and they're impossible to trust, and impossible to trust here on the road as well. But they're coming off a slap in the face, and up against Georgia Southern that just came off of a home win versus Marshall 87-73. Georgia Southern, this will be their fourth straight home game. They have won two of their last three, and this is seniors night. This is seniors night against the worst team in the conference. Is that a good spot for them to attack? Now, they did win at Old Dominion 76-70 on January 27th, so it's not like we're dealing with revenge, and they didn't look very good in that game either, but they were 5.5-point dogs. They won outright, so it wasn't bad. At that point, we didn't know how bad Old Dominion was. Now we have a better idea. So it's senior night for the Georgia Southern Eagles. Let's take a look at the line history and the total for this one here. We have the total sitting at 151.5. It opened up at 150 at Bet Online, so there's been a market move towards them. And then we have Georgia Southern sitting at -5. They opened up here at -4. The first move was towards ODU, but it's come back. A 1-point move here. And let's see the cash. If it's not too public, I'll be very, very interested in rolling with Georgia Southern here. A chance to beat up on a bad team on seniors night. There is 87% of the tickets on Georgia Southern. We don't know the cash flow right now. 57% of tickets on the over. And we have best bets from BJ coming in, Philadelphia Flyers and Milwaukee Bucks for our guy BJ. I'll copy and paste both of those and share them, especially when we get to the NBA breakdown. Take it away for us here, Bobano, Monarchs, Southern, the Georgia Southern Eagles in Statesboro.
Yeah, I mean, look, they've had a coaching change at Old Dominion. Maybe the first game they showed a little something, 75-59. They beat Coastal Carolina, but they have pretty much shown very little. Other than that, it's been a dismal season for Old Dominion. It hasn't been very good for Georgia Southern either. They're not that much better, but for Old Dominion, it's been bad. Just when you think, maybe they're going to show some life after the change in coaching. At App State, they get absolutely bombed, 89-64. Although App State's really good, and we know at home, we talked about it earlier, they're 15-1, and they have a chance, obviously, to win the regular season title in this conference. So there's really no shame in that, even though they did lose to 25. But yeah, I don't want Old Dominion here. This is either a Georgia Southern spot or nothing for me. We'll see what they bring here. They did beat Marshall. It's 87-73 in their last home game, and Georgia Southern's on a nice little late season. This is what you look for, okay? These teams that haven't had a good season, Georgia Southern 7-23, same record as Old Dominion, but they've covered 4 straight. We have suddenly seen Georgia Southern undervalued here down the stretch of the regular season. That's what I look for, and that's going to be enough to get me there, I think, with the Eagles in this game on their home court. So, and I like the over as well. I've been riding Georgia Southern overs. 6 straight Georgia Southern games have gone over the total. I think Old Dominion now, one thing I've seen with their defense, it's kind of collapsed here in the last couple of games. Now, a couple of those were App State, but, I don't think they're going to bring, defense here on the road. Bad season, just playing out the string at this point. And Georgia Southern's been scoring points in bunches now for a while. They play fast. I think they'll get their preferred pace, their preferred tempo. So we'll go with Georgia Southern here in this one. Let me just get the best number. The best number for the total right now is over 151.5, which is a -105 at Botano. So at Botano, over 151.5, a -105. And then for the side here, we'll lock in Georgia Southern -4, -118 at Pinnacle.
You are locked and loaded, my friend. And by the way, Razor Sharp Picks just finished capping the big A for tomorrow's big show. And he says your Gotham Stakes winner will be El Grando. El Grando will be your Gotham Stakes winner. Let's roll on. We head back to the Ivy League, 7 p.m. Eastern. Harvard Crimson, 14-10, 5-6 in conference at the Brown Bears, 9-17, also 5-6 in conference. Pizzatola Sports Center in Providence, Rhode Island. And we cashed with the Brown Bears, both of us, last week. And, they won outright, 68-66, I believe, at Columbia. We had them plus the 4. So we are back in business here. Brown Bears at home. They've won 3 straight on the road. Beat the Quakers, beat the Lions, and then beat the Big Red on Sunday. So they've won 3 straight, starting to turn things around late. Now we know Yale, Cornell, Princeton all tied atop the ledger. Harvard coming off a win at home versus Penn. They lost at home versus Princeton 66-53. They also lost at Cornell here, and they've just kind of fallen off the pace. Now, they played Brown and they lost 74-72 at home. It was a very tough loss. Harvard was down 41-24 at the half. Harvard shot 15.8% from three. They got to be angry about that. They just got to be an angry group here. That win over the Quakers was seniors night. They finished off the season with 3 road games. They're at Yale tomorrow night. Let's get into the line history here from a total perspective. Opened up at 140.5, it's now 139.5, a 1-point drop here. And then from a point spread standpoint, we have Harvard sitting at +2.5. +2.5. This opened up +2, now 2.5. So we have a half-point move towards Brown. And then cash flow, you have 74% of the tickets and 93% of the cash on Brown. It's a half-point move towards them. 89% of tickets on the under, no information on the total with the cash. Take it away for us here. Ivy League action, Bobano, Crimson Bears.
Yeah, this is a nice little interesting situation here for Harvard because we've got themselves coming off the big-time home win, final home regular season game against Penn, 74-70, seniors night. You're playing Brown now on the road tonight. And then, as always with the Ivy League, you do these back-to-backs Friday and Saturday. And then tomorrow you're at Yale, which to me is the bigger game for Harvard. Not that, Harvard's not having a great season by their standards, but still look at that probably as the bigger game. Excuse me. And then you wrap up with Dartmouth next week on Tuesday to wrap up the regular season. So spot-wise, it's not one I love here for Harvard. Brown, I like the way it's going for them. I cashed a ticket with Brown with you on this show last week against, I believe it was Columbia. Yeah, it was Columbia. 4-point dogs. They won outright 66-64. Brown Bears have got it rolling a little bit right now the last few games. Their defensive play has improved. They've absolutely improved a little bit at the offensive end. And what impressed me, too, about Brown, now Cornell was coming off the huge home win against Yale. So maybe a little bit of a, hiccup for Cornell coming off that big win. But you still got to give Brown credit. They went to Cornell, 11.5-point dogs, and they beat them 78-74 in that game. So, you look at this spot here. The bottom line is Brown or nothing for me. I'm just trying to decide, do I want to make Brown official? But I like Brown. They've covered, 4 straight? Yep, 4-0 ATS coming into this game. They've actually covered 2 straight against Harvard in Harvard as well. Last year, they beat Harvard 68-65. Yeah, I'm going to make it official, Jimmy. They're very capable of winning this game. It's not a great Harvard spot, nestled in between senior night at home and the big showdown with Yale tomorrow. Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's make it. What can Brown do for you? Cash me a damn ticket tonight, once again, for the second straight Friday. That's what they can do. Brown -130 at Caesars.
Brown -130 at Caesars for Bobano. Let's roll on. Next up, we hit the A-Sun, 7 p.m. Eastern action. The Stetson Hatters, 19-11, 11-4 in conference at the North Florida Ospreys, 15-15, 8-7 in conference. So this is senior night for North Florida. Can they take care of business against Stetson? They lost at Stetson 75-74 back on January 4th. They rolled in there at 7.5-point dogs and narrowly lost. Not only that, but they were up 67-57, with 5 minutes left in the game, and then fell apart late to the Hatters. So is it too long? Has it been too long since that game for there to be real fresh Rebenga here in this one? Let's see. And big shout out to Perky Sanderson. We got Perky back joining us. We know it's been a very tough week for him, and Perky always talks about how he's going to be there for us when we're down, and we just want the opportunity to be there for him. So thank you for coming back to us, man. And I know how I don't know, but I can imagine how tough the last little while has been. So we love you, man. Back in business, Perky rolling with us. Please send your love to him. as it's great to have him back in business with us. Stetson, North Florida. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We will start with the total sitting at 149.5. That's exactly where it opened at BetOnline. Then from a spread perspective, this opened up with North Florida -1. They got up to -3. They're -2.5 right now. So we have a 1.5 move to North Florida on seniors night. 35% of the tickets, 67% of the cash is on North Florida as well. 14% of the tickets, 97% cash on the under, and the line's not moving there. So big bet placed on the under. Wow, feels like the Ospreys are the play here. What do you think, Bobano? Take it away.
I agree with it. I like North. I'm already on it. -122 money line, North Florida Osprey in this game. Great setup. Obviously, senior night, final home game. You got Stetson off a big road win at Jacksonville, 86-73, a team that had played well at home. And now you're playing your second straight road game as well. This is important. This is Wednesday to Friday turnaround, 2 road games in 3 days because of the fact that this conference, the A-Sun, is doing these Friday night games tonight so that they can get the regular season done because they're starting their conference tournament next Monday and Tuesday. So that's why you're getting these Friday games to wrap up the regular season in the A-Sun. So this is a tough spot for Stetson. 2 roadies in 3 nights. North Florida off a home loss to a rival, Florida Gulf Coast. Second straight home game, no travel. Revenge for a loss to Stetson, a heartbreaker to Stetson earlier this year, 75-74. Back home, they beat Stetson at home last year, 92-81. Absolutely. Senior night, revenge, 2 roadies in a row for Stetson, off a home loss, final home game for North Florida. It has all the elements of a good bet. North Florida -122.
I'm right with you. Right with you with North Florida here on seniors night. Be rolling with that. We got Coach Minton in the house. He's on Columbia +13.5, Cornell -4.5, Utah State -16.5 for Coach. We'll be going over those spots, but we're up against some tough competition here. Ian Shaber on the Hatters said Stetson keeps rolling. Robert Franklin on Stetson as well. Not Bobano and I will be on North Florida. Let's roll on. Stay in the A-Sun for the next one, 7 p.m. Eastern. Kennesaw State Owls, 15-14, 6-9 in conference at Queen's University. Royals, 12-18, 6-9, also 6-9 in conference. We're at Curry Arena in Charlotte, North Carolina. So let's take a look at the Ian Shaber also scripting the next couple of days, saying Stetson wins here, and then East Kentucky loses the loss there. So, a Stetson win and East Kentucky loss tomorrow puts the Hatters on top of the conference. No, I hear that. There's, that's why it's a type of pick'em situation. So, trust your cap, trust your gut, trust what brought you to the dance. Let's roll up to the next spot here. This Kennesaw State. So, Queen's University right now sitting at -1.5. They opened up at -1, got up to 2. They were at 2 also this morning, but it's back at 1.5. Still a half-point move towards Queens. From a total side of things here, we have it sitting at 171.5. Very high total. This opened up at 172.5 and got up to 174 before it started dropping. What a giant drop as well. And then here for this spot, from a cash flow standpoint, you have 22% of tickets and 55% of the cash on Kennesaw State. So big bets have come in on Kennesaw State. 44% tickets, 57% cash on the under. These Kennesaw State Owls coming off that loss at Stetson, 84-72. They've lost 2 of their last 3. This is their 3rd straight road game here. Queens won at Stetson, 83-75. Queens has been quite a bit better of late. Jacksonville, who cares? You beat Jacksonville, but then they won at Stetson and they lost at Florida Gulf Coast. So they have improved as this season has gone on. Kennesaw State, losers of 2 of their last 3, and they played Queen's University and beat them 80-77 at home on January 6th and took care of business. Kennesaw State was 8.5-point favorites for that one. Kennesaw State, 8.5-point favorites. They win by 3. Don't play very well doing it. Take it away for us here, Bobano. A-Sun action, Kennesaw State, Queen's University.
Yeah, I like Queens here at home. I mean, they've had a strong home court. They've had a strong home court all season, 10-3. They're in revenge for a tough loss to Kennesaw, 80-77 back in January. This is a tricky travel spot for Kennesaw. This is going to be their 3rd. Now, I should say they haven't played in a week, but still, it's their third straight road game. It's still not easy. Queens is playing really good ball at home for the most part this season. I think that continues here tonight. I'll be honest. I thought this line would be more closer to 3 on Queens than just getting them 1.5, 2. But, I'll take advantage of it here. I was looking for the over, too, but, man, that total was placed sky high, 174. I think it's just a little too high for me to take that. But I will be on Queens here in this game, minus a 125 at Bookmaker.
Minus 125 at Bookmaker for Queens here. We're going to roll on. I'm interested in that spot, but I'm going to need a little bit more time. Let's roll on. That concludes 7 p.m. action. We move on to 7:30 p.m. action here. And Jose, if you could get the clock rolling for us, because we've got to keep these games tight, but we have got through the 7 p.m. action, which is very important. So here we go. 7:30 p.m. We have James Madison Dukes at Coastal Carolina. These Dukes are still just winning basketball games, but App State has overtaken them at the top of the ledger. But the Dukes are in the nice little winning streak here. They have won 9 straight games. Their lone losses are App State. They lost both times to App State. Now App State's at the top of their ledger. Coastal Carolina, they demolished at home 105-56 back on February 1st, just absolutely destroyed them. Coastal Carolina turned the ball over 22 times. I mean, it was just a joke right from the get-go. I mean, it was just a huge victory. I mean, it had 91-53 at one point before they took their foot off the gas. So is Coastal Carolina capable of answering back? That is the question. Let's take a look at the line history and then hand it over to Bobano. Total-wise, this is sitting at 154.5. It opened up at 156. It got up to 157.5 before it started dropping briskly. From a side perspective, this is sitting at -1. Oh, sorry, that's the Queens one. This is sitting at James Madison's -15. They opened up -15.5. It's now 14.5. Excuse me. It just moved to 14.5. So we have the 1-point move over to Coastal Carolina. And then cash-wise here, you have 31% of tickets and 56% of the cash on Coastal Carolina, 75% of tickets on the under. Is Coastal Carolina capable of answering back, or is this just let's get this season over with? That's the question. This is seniors night for the Chanticleers. Take it away, Bobano.
It is, and it's a lot of points to be laying with James Madison, but I'm not stepping in front of them either. They've won obviously 9 straight. Their only losses were to App State. They haven't always been a covering machine, though. In fact, on the road, their last 2, and this is going to be their 4th straight road game. They only won by 6 at Georgia Southern, laying 11, and they won by 6 at Georgia State, laying 9. So they're actually 0-2 ATS their last 2 road games coming into tonight. But man, Coastal Carolina, their form has been tricky. They've been awful on the road. At least they're won 7 games at home, 7-10, but still not a great record. James Madison has dominated them, winning all 3 meetings. 2 of them they've covered. 105-67 earlier this year. I lean to the over, if anything, but I think I'm going to pass on this one.
They've also had at times just not come out of the gate at all. The Duke. So I have interest in Coastal Carolina first half. I mean, Georgia Southern, they just beat Georgia State, and it wasn't a very nice victory against Georgia Southern. I mean, James Madison was down 45-30 after the first half. They know that they can just turn it on whenever they want. I expect to see Coastal Carolina on seniors night fight. For how long can they possibly fight? I don't know. But I'm going to be on Coastal Carolina first half here and deal with the consequences that come. Let's roll on to the next spot on the board. Now, this is an interesting one because we heard from Kent Davies that he was backing North Alabama. North Alabama first half and full game, and Kent Davies calling this a smash spot. So let's break this one down. North Alabama, Central Arkansas is next. We have, sorry, let me get back to my notes here. North Alabama Lions 13, 16, 7, and 8 in the conference. At Central Arkansas Bears 9 and 22, 5 and 10 in conference. Ferris Center in Conway, Arkansas. North Alabama's lost 3 straight. Last 2 coming on the road. Lost to Eastern Kentucky, who's at the top of the ledger, 75-72, and they played well in that one. Then they lost at Bellarmine. At the bottom of the ledger. No excuse for losing by 12. They are probably an angry group. Central Arkansas also coming off playing those 2 teams. They just barely lost at Bellarmine, 68-65. That was their 3rd straight loss. And then they lost at Eastern Kentucky by 13. Really no shame in that. But North Alabama is probably angry after that performance at Bellarmine. But this is Central Arkansas's senior night. And they played Central Arkansas and lost at home 84-81. So a lot of things, other than Central Arkansas being seniors night, you have a lot of reasons why you could expect an angry, focused North Alabama Lions group here. Let's get into the line history and the cash flow. From a side standpoint, you have North Alabama minus 4.5. They open up at minus 5.5. So you have a 1-point move towards Central Arkansas. Then from a total side of things, we have it sitting at 154.5. This opened up at 151, so we've climbed 3.5 points. And then cash flow, we have 78% of the tickets and 95% of the cash on Central Arkansas. 70% of tickets, 77% cash on the under. Take it away for us here, Bobano, Lions, Bears in Conway, Arkansas.
Yeah, this is actually revenge for North Alabama because they lost at home, to Central Arkansas back in January. Central Arkansas was a 10-point dog, beat them at North Alabama, 84-81 in that game. So we'll see if they rebound from that. North Alabama's been pretty bad defensively. I know one thing for a fact. Bellarmine's not a great offensive team, and Bellarmine put 82 on the board against them the other night. So that's not what I want to see. I'm interested in the total here. I like the over. I think the side's a little tricky. It is revenge for North Alabama. They've been awful, though, on the road. 3-12. To be honest, though, Central Arkansas, look what they've done at home lately. 0-4 straight up in ATS their last 4 home games. So North Alabama in revenge, the team that struggled straight up in ATS at home. I don't think I want to trust Central Arkansas. I know I don't want to lay it here with North Alabama either. But I do think we'll see points in this game. We certainly saw a lot of points in the first meeting. It got into the 160s. I don't see why it can't get into at least the high 150s here in this game. Neither team is a defensive stalwart by any stretch of the imagination. So that's what we'll roll with here in this game. We're just going to see what the best number is. But definitely here with this one, we'll go over the total here with North Alabama and Central Arkansas. Over 154.5 minus 110 at BetMGM.
Over 154.5 at minus 110 for Bobano. We head back to the Ivy League for our next spot on the board. 8 p.m. Eastern. Cornell Big Red 20-5, 9-2 in conference at Pennsylvania Quakers 10-16, 2-9 in conference. We're in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania here for this one at a great barn here, home of the Quakers. Cornell had their 3-game winning streak snapped, 78-74 at home. Versus Brown is very disappointing. And it's got them all tied atop the ledger. Yale, Cornell, and Princeton. It's very important for them to smash Pennsylvania here. Pennsylvania coming off a 74-70 loss at Harvard. And a lot on the line for the Big Red here because they finished with 3 road games and they face Princeton tomorrow night. Is this one of those famous, look-ahead spots where the key is to beat Princeton tomorrow night, but they have to play lowly Pennsylvania tonight? They beat Pennsylvania. God, sorry, I had it all set up here. Sorry, I clicked the wrong button. They beat Pennsylvania badly, 77-60 at home. So can this be a look-ahead spot? And can Penn show something? But the pig milk play of the day, that's now 6-1, has the Cornell -4 here. Cornell -4. Also, Coin has a better line for you on the over in North Alabama.
Well, 154 minus 110. Excellent.
Yep. So we'll cut that half point there. Wow. So, Billy Frieder, can you touch on why you, if you don't mind, why you don't think this is a look ahead spot? Why you don't think Cornell will be kind of more concerned about taking out Princeton. Now, we're going to talk about Princeton in the very next game as well. So let's do the line history here for this one. Total-wise, we're sitting at 158, opened up at 156, a 2-point move to the over. Spread-wise here, we are sitting with a 4 at minus 115. It opened up at 4.5, went to 3.5, but it's right back at 4. So we do have a half-point move towards the Big Red. And then cash-wise, you have 87% of the tickets and 79% of the cash on Cornell. It's a lot of money on Cornell. We have over 2,000 toget's in. Line's not moving towards them. I think Penn is interesting here, and maybe I certainly don't want to go up against Big Milk Play Day now. Been dominating all week, but 74% of the tickets, 65% cash on the under. Billy Friedrich says every game counts. Cornell knows this with a 3-team tie. That's the main reason. They're just better everywhere than Pennsylvania. Take it away for us here, Bobano, Cornell, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, this line stinks, though. It does. I mean, my goodness. Cornell is so much better. Eye test, on paper, everything than Penn. Penn's had a dismal season. They're 1-9 straight up in their last 10 games. The only win was against Dartmouth on the road, a bad team. And Cornell's only laying 4 in this game, and they're off a loss, too, against Brown. Remember, they had the huge win against Yale. I cashed a ticket with Cornell last Friday against Yale on this show. They lost the very next night against Brown, kind of a letdown spot, but they're off a loss. Here's Cornell off a loss this year, 4-0 straight up, 4-0 against the spread. After losing to George Mason, they won the next game by 17. They lost at Syracuse. They won the next game by 21 at Siena. Lost at Baylor. They won the next game by 12 against Columbia. They lost at Yale. They won the next game and covered against Harvard by 13. They have been phenomenal off a loss, Cornell. 4-0 straight up in ATS off a loss. They're off a loss here. They're the better of these two teams. I could only look Cornell, but they have the big game tomorrow. Penn did beat Cornell at home last year in this building too, and there's enough little queasy warning signs for me to stay off Cornell. I'm going to pass.
I don't have the conviction, especially after the stats you just read off of what they've done after a loss and Billy Friedrich on the other side. I'm not going to sit here and I don't have the conviction to take Pennsylvania. So I'll stay off the Quakers and cheer on Billy Friedrich. Let's stay in the Ivy League, 8 p.m. Eastern. Columbia Lions 13-11, 4-7 in conference at the aforementioned Princeton Tigers, 21-3, 9-2 in conference. Jadwin Gymnasium, Princeton, New Jersey. Our guy Big O in the house. Great to see Big O. Big O, huge horse card tomorrow. We hope you join us. We'll be live all day and all night. Tampa pick 4 for Big O. And we'll roll into Tampa. It starts at 11 a.m. tomorrow. We start with Gulfstream, get into Tampa, and then go from there. But here we go. Columbia, Princeton, Ivy League action is next for us. Columbia's lost 3 straight, all at home and in disappointing fashion. Columbia now 4-7 in conference. And Princeton is rolling, beating teams by margin. If we look at their last 5 games, 1 at home over Pennsylvania by 7, 1 at home over Brown by 9, 1 at home over Yale by 11, 1 at Harvard by 13, and then 1 at Dartmouth by 12. They seem very focused here in this spot, knowing that they're tied to top the ledger. Tomorrow versus Cornell is seniors night for these Princeton Tigers, and they're in the throes of this 6-game winning streak. And they beat Columbia at Columbia 70-62 on January 20th. So here we go. Billy Friedrich says, I think Columbia is a better look to cover here than Pennsylvania covering. Ken Davies says Columbia ain't bad, and Real Deal Prime on Princeton. And Big O says he will be there. Can't wait, Big O. I need it. I need a day with horses with the squad. The problem is the NHL card's so juicy tomorrow that I'm going to have a ton of action, so I can't just pretend that it's all horses. But let's get back to this one. Princeton sitting at minus 13. Opening up at minus 13, there's been a 5-cent move towards them over at Bet Online. From a total standpoint, this is sitting at 144.5. That's where it opened. So really no movement on this one. And then when we get to the cash flow, 67% of tickets on Princeton. We don't have any information on the cash. We do know that 25% of tickets and 46% cash is on the under. Is this a look-ahead spot? Can Columbia stay within 13 here? Take it away, Bobano. Ivy League action in Princeton, New Jersey.
I think it might be a mild look ahead, but maybe it happens on defense because I like the over here in this game. Over 143.5 minus 118 pro line plus. If you look at Columbia, they've been trending over the total. They play pretty fast. They're not very good defensively, and they're probably going to struggle with this pretty solid Princeton efficient offense that they have. They've gone over 4 of their last 5 games. Princeton's gone under in 4 straight, but if you look, and earlier this year in Columbia, the game did stay under, well under. But the total is less in this game than it was in that one. 147 in that game. It's 143.5 here. And keep in mind, too, that in Princeton last year, 88-66, the game flew over the total. Princeton the year before, 84-69, the game flew over the total. So the last 2 games in Princeton with these 2 teams, the game went over the total. And I just think with the bigger game on deck, Princeton defensively will lack a little bit in this game. Columbia lacks defense routinely. So I expect that to be more of the same here. So I'm not on a side. Don't trust Columbia enough. They've been destroyed 2 years in a row at Princeton. That would be the one concern about backing Columbia. I don't want to lay this with Princeton with the game that they've got coming up tomorrow. So just for the over for me in this game.
I find Columbia appealing to stay in this basketball game. I really do. I'm not going. I don't need to have this heavy conviction in this spot. I understand that I would need it with Cornell backing Pennsylvania, but I just think that game tomorrow night,
from a spot perspective, definitely, I get it.
And that game tomorrow night's massive.
I would not lay it with Princeton here. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm interested in Columbia plus the points. Kent Davis says he's bet Columbia earlier this year. They put up a fight. All right, let's head over to the Sun Belt here. 8 p.m. action. We have the UL Monroe Warhawks, 11-17, 6-11 in conference. Oh, wait, sorry, Bobano. What was the total that you got there? My bad.
It's 143.5 minus 115.
Over 143.5 minus 115. And, sorry, I am interested in Columbia. All right. Spreadsheet play today is Milwaukee minus 3.5. So Ron Crawford and BJ in the same with the same look here, corner of spreadsheet and BJ Boulevard. UL Monroe Warhawks 11-17, 6-11 in conference. Alabama Jaguars 15-15, 7-10 in conference. We're at Mitchell Center in Mobile, Alabama. UL Monroe has lost 3 of 4. Look, they've been a bad team all year long, so it's no surprise there. They lost at Texas State badly, 73-55 on Tuesday. Central Alabama played on Wednesday, so UL Monroe has a day of rest advantage, and they beat Southern Miss 73-70. They've won 2 of their last 3, but both, we're against Southern Miss, who's not a bad basketball team, by any. They're not a bad basketball team. So let's take a look here. Have the Warhawks faced South Alabama. Remember, it's senior night for South Alabama, and they did. Here. Wow, it was a huge
revenge spot.
Yeah, huge. Wow, a lot going on for South Alabama in this one. UN Monroe won 80-66. South Alabama shot 32.9% from 3 and were out rebounded 50-39. Looks like they just let go in that spot. So I'll take a look at the line history here for this one. We have, here we go. We have the total sitting at 145, opened up at 145.5. And then from a spread side of things, we have South Alabama right now minus 7.5. They opened up at minus 7. The first move was towards UL Monroe at 6.5, but then 7 and 7.5. And it is juiced to UL Monroe. So maybe it is basically a 7. Maybe we just basically have a 7. And then cash flow wise for this one, we have 57% of the tickets and 87% of the cash on South Alabama, but the line's not moving towards them. It is. 82% of tickets and 95% cash on the under. Take it away, Bobano. Is this revenge night and seniors night combined? I mean, the South Alabama Jaguars are going to take it to UL Monroe, or have you seen improvement from the Warhawks?
I don't think I've seen enough. They've lost 2 in a row. Although the Troy loss, they were competitive, and Troy's very good. But on the road, they've been pretty bad. They lost by 8 against UL Lafayette, by 15 at Arkansas State, by 28 against Troy, and by 18 at Texas State. Texas State's not all that good. And now it's a second straight road game for UL Monroe. And now you've got South Alabama here playing with revenge at home. And keep in mind how they dominated this series, South Alabama, till that win by Monroe earlier this year. Prior to that, South Alabama had won 5 straight against UL Monroe, including, at home, 80-72 a couple of years ago. And last year in this building, February of last year, was 81-45 for South Alabama over this team. So I'm laying it with South Alabama here. -6.5, -132 at Proline Plus. I think they get it done by margin. Monroe's been terrible these last few road games. Their only road win was Southern Miss, and Southern Miss, we'll get to them. They're an absolute fade right now, Southern Miss. They've crumbled, and that's the only road win Monroe and cover that Monroe's had recently. So South Alabama for me.
South Alabama -6.5. What was the juice?
-132.
It's 132. I'm very interested in the spot. I can completely understand the move. All right, let's roll on. 8 p.m. Eastern, we head over to the ASUN. Eastern Kentucky Colonels, 17-12, 12-3 in conference at the Lipscomb Bisons, 19-11, 10-5 in conference. We're in Allen Arena in Nashville, Tennessee. We have 6 games left in college basketball after this, and then we get into NBA. We have Troy Torrence making his NBA debut here. So they've played.
I'll be quick with these last 6. We'll pick up the pace here a little.
Cool. We've been close. We've seen these two teams play. Lipscomb lost 80-72 at Eastern Kentucky early.
Oh, there we go. South Alabama -120 at bookmakers. -6.5, -120. Very good, Billy. Great job.
Yeah, that's
Great
big.
find.
12 cents. That's big. Eastern Kentucky played excellent in that one. 51.7% from the field, 45.8% from 3. They're 1.5-point favorites, and they were actually in control all game long. They were up 47-29 at halftime. They really, really took it to Lipscomb. And now it is seniors night for Lipscomb. Can they answer back against this Eastern Kentucky team that's on top of the conference at 12-3? Lipscomb's won 3 straight games. They're playing better. The problem is that Eastern Kentucky just lost to Austin P 83-79. So this is an angry group that knows all they have to do is win here, and they win the conference. Let's get into the line history here. We have Eastern Kentucky as 3-point dogs. They opened up as 2-point dogs. They got to 4. This was at 4 at 2 in the morning. We have a point of buyback. So the number 1 team in the conference here, Eastern Kentucky Colonels, 12-3, are dogs here all they have to do is win. This total to win the conference. This total is sitting at 160. Opened up at 166.5. Actually, it's 161. Just move back up. But this opened up at 166.5. That's how many points that we have dropped here. And then from a cash flow standpoint, we have 78% of the tickets and 92% of the cash on Lipscomb. 50-50 on the ticket count on the total, 73% cash on the over. Take it away for us here, Bobano, ASUN action in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah, this is another one where it's a back-to-back road spot. Wednesday to Friday, and I get it. It's the best team in the conference right now off a loss. Lipscomb's had a pretty damn good home court though, 11-1. They're playing with revenge. They lost at Eastern Kentucky, 80-72. Lipscomb's won each of the last 2 times they've hosted Eastern Kentucky. This has been a tough place to win for every team, including Eastern Kentucky, the last couple of years. So I'm actually in agreement with the move. I do like Lipscomb in this spot. Minus, you know what? I don't do this very often. I don't love doing it, but I'm going to pay the price here with the money line, -154 at Bobano. I'd rather do that than -3 because I bet a very cheap money line compared to that overnight early this morning. It's gone up a little bit since then. I like Lipscomb here. They're very good at home. There's a tough back-to-back road spot. Lipscomb, I think, gets it done here. And at least tries to spoil Eastern Kentucky's chances to win the conference, the regular season.
Yeah, it's a really interesting spot here. Wow. Okay. Let's roll on. I'm interested. I'm going to sit with this one after the show. Bellarmine Knights 8-22, 4-11 in the ASUN at Austin P Governor, 16-14, 9-6 in conference. F&M Bank Arena in Clarksville, Tennessee for this one. Bellarmine just lost at Lipscomb. Just lost. That was on Wednesday, 90-74. That snapped their 2-game winning streak. I mean, they started looking a little better. They've been terrible all year. Austin P also lost at home versus Lipscomb. That was back on Saturday, on Saturday. And then they just played at home versus Eastern Kentucky and beat them 83-79. I wonder if this is a slip-up spot for Austin Peay after that huge win over Eastern Kentucky. But this is seniors night. It is a nice opportunity for them. And they destroyed Bellarmine on January 4th, just crushed them 84-68. Out-rebounded them, were ahead all game long. Bellarmine were 2.5-point favorites and lost by 16. Does Bellarmine have an answer here on seniors night for Austin Peay? From a total standpoint here, we are sitting with a 139. This opened up at 136, a 3-point move to the over. From a spread side of things, we are dealing with Austin Peay as an 8.5-point favorite. They opened up at 8.5, got up to 9.5, and then we're down at 8 this morning. So we're right back where we started at 8.5. When we get to the cash flow for this one, we're getting no help. All we know is 54% of tickets are on Bellarmine, 87% of tickets are on the over, but no help with the cash flow. Take it away for us here, Bobano, ace on action in Clarksville, Tennessee.
Yeah, I know this is senior night, but at the same point in time, 11-2 they are at home. But at the same time, that was a big time win, 84. And a lot of these senior night situations, we've been looking at, the other team being a little bit of a tough spot, and the team that we've been looking at back at these senior nights, they've been in a pretty good situation and a good spot. I don't know if that's the case for Austin Peay. That's a huge win for them against Eastern Kentucky, the conference leaders. You got to come back. You got to play little old Bellarmine, who the Lipscomb game did not go well, 90-74, but they did have a couple of wins right before that, couple of competitive efforts. And the last time they played here at Austin Peay last year, they did win outright as underdogs against Austin Peay. So when you look at this matchup here, I'm actually leaning to the dog here. I don't know if I've got the heart to take it because they've also had a lot of rough performances, including away from home. But I'm very tempted by Bellarmine. I do like the over. This 138 over 138 minus 110 at Caesars. Bellarmine's gone over in 2 straight. Austin Peay is on a 7-game over streak, and every game's gone over this number. Bellarmine, you look at the last 2 games, 152 and 164 in total points. Central Arkansas only had 133, but before that they had 140 with Eastern Kentucky, 161 with Stetson, 160 with Queens. They've been going over this kind of a total often. So I like over 138 here, Bellarmine, Austin Peay, and I'm leaning Bellarmine, but I don't think I'm going to make that one official. Just not enough confidence.
I see what you're seeing in Bellarmine. I'm interested in them. I wonder if then I should maybe think about just first half. I wonder if that might be the better look here. I don't want to get too cute with it, but I'm very interested in Bellarmine, and we will wait and see if the trigger is pulled. I expect the trigger to be pulled, though. Let's roll on. The next spot on the board is we have the Troy Trojan Sunbelt action, 20-10, 13-4 in the Sunbelt at the Texas State Bobcats, 13-17, 6-11 in the Sunbelt. Troy handled Texas State easily, 78-65. That was back on January 24th. Troy shot 54.2% from the field, 41.2% from 3. This was a very tight game until the last 10 minutes, and Troy just completely took over. Troy 2 games out right now, 2 games behind App State. They've really, really come on here. So they've won 3 of their last 4. Now, they lost to Arkansas State. Those are the only losses since January 20th. That's been their biggest issue. They've been rolling other than that. Texas State Bobcats beat Georgia State on the road, came back and beat UL Monroe Warhawks. They're starting to play a little bit better here, these Bobcats. And now they're at home on seniors night against a tough Troy team. So Texas State sitting here as 3.5-point dogs. They opened up as 4-point dogs. So it's 4.5. This has moved in the last 30 minutes. There's been a move towards Troy. So now we have a 0.5-point move towards Troy. From a total side of things here, this opened up at 138, now at 140.5, a 2.5-point move to the over. And then from a cash flow standpoint, 47% of the tickets and 61% of the cash is on Texas State. 67 and 84 is on the over. Take it away for us here. We have Troy Trojans, Texas State Bobcats.
Yeah, I mean, the number, it feels a little short on Troy, but it is senior night at home for Texas State, and I don't love going against those angles. But Troy has done well against Texas State. They've won 3 straight. At Texas State, though, it's worth noting last year they were a 1-point favorite. They won by 3. So this is a sharp line. This is right, I think, where it should be. I like the over, though. The over's gone up in this game. Troy over in the last 2 games. They're scoring in bunches. They're really lighting up the scoreboard, Troy. And look, Texas State, 3 of their last 4 games, they've gotten into the 70s. If they get into the 70s here at home on senior night, Texas State, this game's probably going to go over the total, because I definitely see this Troy team getting into the 70s, and that's the key to this bet. Both teams hit 70. You're going to see this game go up and over the total. So that's all we need. I think we can get there. Over 140.5, minus 110 at DraftKings.
Over 140.5, minus 110. I give you a free $500 bet on the side here. Who do you move on?
Troy, because I think it's a little short and series history.
Okay, let's roll on here. We head to Louisiana, and these Ragin' Cajuns were awful versus Troy at home, and I was on them. This was a big L that I took on Wednesday. Their 4th straight loss. I don't know why I expected Louisiana to turn it around here, and I did. And it was frustrating. Southern Miss has lost 2 of their last 3, both coming to Southern Alabama. They beat Texas State at home. They beat these Ragin' Cajuns at home just, 6 days ago. Southern Miss won 82-71 at home. Took care of business. Southern Miss shot 52.6 from the field and 46.7% from 3. They did turn the ball over 16 times, but they also dominated the boards 46-29. UL Monroe shot horrifically, 39.4 from the field and 24% from 3. I don't even know how Louisiana stayed in the game. It feels like these are 2 teams sort of moving in opposite directions. Not that Southern Miss is really rolling that much, but Louisiana is playing bad. Can they answer back here? And I can't let this vividness bias here, or the recency bias of losing on them, affect me, because I kind of want to back the Ragin' Cajuns in the Cajun Dome. Kind of want to back them here. Seniors night, right? This is seniors night, and God, I kind of want to back them to step up and show some in the heart. But is this going to cost me cash if I do? Let's take a look at the line history for this one. We have Louisiana Lafayette total at 148.5. This has climbed up from 143.5, a 5-point move towards the over. From a spread perspective here, we are dealing with a 7. This was the first game I looked at when this schedule came out. Yesterday afternoon, and I tried to guess what the number. There was no way I thought Louisiana would be 7-point favorites after watching them. And now it's moved to 6.5, but it is juiced to, Lafayette, so it's not a big difference there. And 67% of the tickets, 74% of cash is on Louisiana lines moving towards Southern Miss. 62% of tickets, 66% of cash is on the over. Take it away for us here. What do you think of the Ragin' Cajuns on senior night?
So I was not on that spot with you, Jimmy, the other night with ULL. So I didn't join in on the pain of that awful showing for the Ragin' Cajuns. So maybe this is my chance to lose some money on them here tonight, because I am on Louisiana and the Ragin' Cajuns here in this spot. And Southern Miss has been a fade for me. Now, they did cover the point spread. Now, I took South Alabama on the money line against Southern Miss in Southern Miss last game. So I won because they won by 3, but I think the line closed 3.5. So if you laid the points with South Alabama, you might have lost. But I've been going against them, especially in January. They have played a little bit better. They've had a very tumultuous season, Southern Miss. They've had some disruptions within the program. And look, they're not in great shape right now, Ragin' Cajuns. I get it. 0-4 straight up in ATS, including a loss at Southern Miss, but a revenge spot. It is, it is senior night. You're right. I didn't like Bob Marlin's tone after that game in some of his recent post-game media conferences for the ULL. But, Southern Miss going on the road, if ULL is even remotely good tonight, making their shots, which has been an issue, playing good defense, which again has been a big issue as well. They've given up 82 and 87 in their last 2 losses here, UL Lafayette. They can definitely win and cover this game because I don't have faith in Southern Miss. They're 5-8 straight up on the road. This is still a pretty strong home court. Let's not forget the Cajuns are 10-3 straight up at home this year. So senior night, like I said, I'm going to give them a chance here. I've been fading Southern Miss quite a bit. That's a big part of this, the reasoning for this. So -6.5, -118 at Bet Online for the Cajuns. I'm also liking the over in this game. We saw 150s with the last 2 meetings, I believe, between these two teams. Yeah, 152 in both, 153, I should say, in both games. I don't see why this can't get into the 150s. To me, the total looks light. Over 148, -110 at Bet365.
You got it over 148 -110, and the Raging Cajuns -6.5 and -118. All right, we got 3 games left, and they're big. They're big. We start with 9 p.m. Eastern. The number 21 ranked Dayton Flyers, 22-5, 12-3 in the A10 at the Loyola Chicago Ramblers, 20-8, 12-3 in the A10. We've seen a lot of love for the Ramblers here in the chat. Chicago, Illinois, home of our Troy Torrence, will be making his NBA debut here in very, very shortly. So Loyola, Chicago, these teams have not faced yet this year. They've not faced, and this is a big one. Dayton coming off that 80-66 win at home over Davidson. That was on Tuesday. Loyola Chicago lost badly at St. Bonaventure, 79-64 to stop their winning streak. There's so much on the line here. Richmond at 13-2. 1 game back is Dayton and Loyola Chicago. So a ton on the line for 2 teams that haven't met yet this year. Let's take a look at the line history. Stacks play of the day is Loyola Chicago money line. A lot of love for these Ramblers. We have, from a total side of things, sitting at 136.5, opened up at 137.5, a 1-point move to the under. From a spread perspective, we have this opening up with Loyola Chicago +2. They got to a pick 'em at 10:19 p.m. last night, and then it started moving back to Dayton. We're back at 1.5, so there's been a 0.5-point move to Loyola Chicago, but there's been a 1.5-point move towards Dayton this morning. From a cash flow standpoint, 37% of tickets and 49% of cash is on Dayton. 52% of tickets and 93% of cash is on the under. Take it away for us here, Bobano. A10 action, big game for the Ramblers facing the Flyers.
It is a big game. It's a great game. Looking forward to it here. I've been burned enough by Dayton on the road a couple of times to not trust them here. I mean, they lost at George Mason as road favorites last time they were on the road. They pummeled Davidson in their last game, but they destroy Davidson every time they play them. It's just a great matchup. They've been very good at home, obviously, UD Arena, 14-0, but they're only 5-4 on the road. They lose at George Mason. I was on Dayton as a small road favorite at VCU a few Fridays ago on this show, and they gave up 49 points and they lost on the road at VCU, and I'm like, how the hell do you play defense like that and you end up losing? I don't trust them on the road. And Loyola Chicago's been playing phenomenal. They've been playing terrific basketball. They had won 7 straight. Okay, they got upended by St. Bonnie, but St. Bonaventure's good at home. I've no shame in that. Had a bad game. Everyone's going to have a bad game every now and then. Back home here. And I think they've got the bigs now to take care of Deron Holmes, the great player for Dayton. I think they've done a nice job. They have an improved front line. They've got more paint presence, rim protection this year, Loyola Chicago. I think they're a bigger team than they've been in the past, and I think that's why they lost to Dayton last year. Dayton pushed them around in the paint, in the interior. I don't think that's going to happen this time around. At home, Friday night, they're probably going to wheel Sister Jean out here for inspiration tonight, here for this Friday night game, no doubt. Give me Loyola Chicago here. I think they win this game. There's been enough cracks in the armor with Dayton on the road that I'm ready to get back on Loyola here off a bad road, not a bad road loss because Bonnies are tough at home, but One of the worst performances they've had in quite some time. I think they match up a lot better with Dayton than they did last year. Loyola Chicago for me, +1.5, -110 at DraftKings.
Wow. Yeah, this is a fascinating one. +1.5 at -110. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can do it, but maybe I should get there. I'm certainly gonna keep an eye on this spot and look at it after the game. 2 more spots left before NBA. Next up, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, we have the Fresno State Bulldogs, 11-17, 4-11 in the Mountain West, at the Nevada Wolfpack, 23-6, 10-5 in conference. We're at Lawler Event Center in Reno, Nevada. Fresno State's lost 4 straight, but they sure look good against the Aggies last out at home. They bounced back. I mean, they'd lost by 32 points at home to San Diego State and put up just 41 points. And they come back and they play great. They play great against Utah State. Do they come back to earth here? And are they the bad basketball team we remember? Nevada has won 4 straight. That win at Colorado State hurt me. You know, I went into that game 3-2 in college basketball on the night. I had first half full game Colorado State, and that blew up in my face and gave me a losing night in college. Actually, my tailspin in college basketball started with this very basketball game, I think. I think it really started with this basketball game. So here we go. Fresno State at Nevada. Take a look at the situation a little closer. They have faced once before, and it was very easy for Nevada. Nevada won 72-57 at Fresno State. Now, it was actually a close game. This was, a 50. I guess not. It was a 5-point game with 5 minutes left. Nevada didn't play particularly well. They didn't shoot particularly well, but they only turned the ball over 3 times. Played very clean basketball while Fresno State turned the ball over 14 times. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. First off, on the spread, we have Nevada as 14.5-point favorites. Opening up at 15, down to 14.5, so a half-point move towards Fresno State. From a total situation, this is sitting at 137. It opened up at 137. We've had no movement. And then from a cash flow standpoint, we have 75% of the tickets and 83% of the cash on Fresno State. Only a half-point move towards them. But that, they're a big dog. 54% of tickets, 47% of cash on the over. It's a coin flippy total here. Take it away. Fresno State, Nevada Wolfpack.
I mean, what do you do here? Fresno is god-awful right now. They're a tough team to really get behind. You look at what they've done. They've been destroyed in some of these recent games. Boise, San Diego State. They did cover against UNLV at home, and they did cover against Utah State at home. But, on the road, do we trust this team? They've had double-digit losses to Boise and UNLV. Okay, they beat Air Force and San Jose on the road, but those are 2 of the worst teams in the conference. Hard to have faith in them, but can you lay this many with Nevada coming off the win of the season for them? An insane game against Colorado State the other night where they were up big. They led wire to wire. They almost blew it. They did blow the lead. It gets to overtime, and all of a sudden everything's in jeopardy again. And then, of course, the half-court heave at the buzzer in overtime to win it for Nevada on the road against Colorado State. A huge road win for them. One of the biggest wins of their season, maybe their biggest win of the season, certainly their most dramatic, thrilling win, no doubt. And now after a win like that, just a few days later, laying 15 with them, no, that's not something I'm doing for even as bad as Fresno State is. So, yeah, it's, to me, impossible game. Pass.
Yeah, I do not feel it appealing here. Let's move on to the final spot on the board here. Great job, Bobano. Thank you for rocking with us. 26 college basketball games, 25 have been broken down. We're about to hammer this 26th. 11 p.m. Eastern action. DGen late night action for us. Air Force Falcons, 9-18, 2-13 Mountain West. At the number 22 ranked Utah State Aggies, 23-5, 11-4 in conference. We're in Logan, Utah for this one. And these teams faced each other earlier in the year, and it was an absolute beatdown, 88-60. For Utah State. They went in and dominated in Colorado Springs, just completely dominated. They were 7.5-point favorites, won by 18. Air Force shot 14.3% from 3. Utah State shot 63.3% from the field. Now, the question is, psychologically, what do you think Utah State does here after a real poor performance, 77-73. They were very fortunate to win the game at a very weak Fresno State squad. And now they face another minnow. It makes me think that Utah State hammers early, but this is going to be just a monstrous spread. Let's go over that monstrous spread right now. We have Utah State as 16-point favorites. They opened up as 17-point favorites. It's actually, there's just been a big move, not just 35 minutes ago. So it's 17.5 now. So there is a half-point move towards Utah State. There was a 1.5 move towards them. From a total side of things, this is sitting at 138. It opened up at 130. It just dropped. Sorry, big move to the under. It's at 136.5 now. So this opened up at 139. It's just dropped. Just dropped to 136.5. And then when we get to cash flow here, we have 4% of the tickets and 7% of the cash on Air Force. That's it. And we're talking about 3,388 tickets. 65% of tickets, 53% cash on the over. Bobano, is this a spot where Utah State dominates? Billy Friedrich says, I think Utah State covers easily. Says this game is going to get ugly. Justin McKelvey's on Utah State over 77.5 team total. What's your plan here? And Patrick Burns over 138 is his favorite play of the night. Take it away, Bobano.
Yeah, I mean, Utah State has owned Air Force. 5-0 straight up, 5-0 against the spread. I think every win has been by 12 points or more. And I definitely think this favors Utah State a little bit coming off a lackluster performance. But my goodness, I mean, 17, you're not getting a bargain. That's my only concern. And let's not forget Air Force. Air Force has been terrible ATS at home. They've actually been worse at home, Air Force. On the road, they've actually had a couple of shockers. At UNLV, 10.5-point dogs, they won outright. At New Mexico, who the hell wins at the pit against that New Mexico team this year, which is pretty good? Oh, yeah, Air Force did a couple of games ago, 78-77. So this is not a slam dunk to me with Utah State. I mean, they've dominated. It's been a huge matchup advantage for them. I don't think they're going to look past Air Force because of how lethargic they were against Fresno in their last game. So I can't endorse Air Force here, even though they've had some decent results at times on the road, some good results, but Utah State's owned them. I just can't lay this many. What I want to know is who the frig is betting this under so much? Who is right now? Because to me, this is, I totally disagree with it. You know, Utah is going to put a big number against against Air Force because that's what they always do. They always get into the high 70s or the 80s. There's no question about that. And Air Force, you know, has actually had some decent and better offensive performances on the road. You know, they've actually been better shooting the basketball on the road, you know, compared to at home. We've seen a series history with 4 straight overs cashing between Air Force and Utah State. And those games had 139, 142, 145, and 148 total points. All of those more than this total here. I don't understand the underlove. I'm happy to go against it because I disagree with it. And 4 straight overs in the series history. I like the over here. Let's go with it at over 136.5 minus 115 at Bet Online.
Over 136.5 at minus 115. And I agree with Coin. I mean, the only answer to the total dropping is that Utah State destroys
They're really going to put the clamp down defensively, but I'm not so sure they will.
Just destroy them. You know, beat them by 35. They beat them by
or
35.
Utah State scores enough that it's like 90 to 50 or something, and I still get the over, which Utah State could get to the 80s or 90s tonight. They really could. But I still think it can get up and over.
Well, let's review all action in college basketball here. These Fridays have been very good to me working with you, Bobano. So let's see if we can put together a money-making card. Bobano starts with Bowling Green +8. Then he's on Arkansas State +7.5 at minus 114. I'm interested in that spot. He's on Manhattan. I will be betting that. He's on Niagara minus 130 in the over 144.5. He's on Iona minus 140 in the over 150.5. He's on Fairfield +1.5 in the over 136. I expect to be on Canisius. I'm going to, and there's really no, I'm going to be on Canisius. He's on Jacksonville in the over 131.5. I'm very interested in Jacksonville. It's going to take a little bit of time, but I'm very interested. Dartmouth, Yale, stay off. Bobano's on the over 151 in Marshall, Georgia State. He's on Georgia Southern -4 in the over 151.5 at minus 105. I'm very interested in Georgia Southern. He's on Brown -130. He's on North Florida. I will be joining him on North Florida. He is on Queens minus 125. By the way, Coach Minton is on Columbia plus 13.5. He's also on Utah State minus 16.5 and Cornell minus 4.5. Bobano's on Queens. I think I join him. And then on my own here, and this could be a terrible move, but I'm going to be on Coastal Carolina first half. Bobano's on the over 154, North Alabama, Central Arkansas. We know Kent Davies firing on North Alabama. Spreadsheet play today is Georgia Southern. Like seeing that. Let me grab that here. Thank you. Don't know how I missed that, Ron. Get that here right under our Georgia Southern spot. So that means Bobano on Georgia Southern, Ron Crawford on Georgia Southern. I expect to be on Georgia Southern. I just want to make sure that everything correlates. I'll do a double check, as I always do after the show. Then the pig milk play of the day from our Billy Friedrich is Cornell minus 4. Columbia over 143.5 for Bobano. I like Columbia here. I think Princeton's going to be thinking about tomorrow. Southern Alabama minus 6.5 and minus 120. I just want a little bit more time, but I'm interested. Lipscomb at home against Eastern Kentucky. I like the look a lot, but I do want more time on it. And then he's on the over 138 at minus 110 for Bellarmine at Austin P. I'm going to be on Bellarmine first half. He's going to be on the over 140.5 in Troy, Texas State. He's on Louisiana minus 6.5 in the over 148. He's on the Ramblers plus 1.5. I know a lot of great cappers, Wine Time, the Stacks are on Loyola. I just want a little bit more time on that. Fresno State, Nevada, no action. And Bobano's on the over 136.5 in Air Force, Utah State. And Coin liking that look on Canisius.
Is that what's Troy in the chat here? Troy Torrence is, I'm sure, going to do a great job coming up with the NBA for the first time on the show. His comment here, double digit. Is he talking about the Air Force game with that?
Yes, he's talking about Air Force, Utah State.
All right. Well, I like that then. I'm happy about that then. Yeah, as I'm on that over. All right. Giddy up.
Bobano, great work, my friend. Sorry we went so long. Yeoman's work from our Ian Cameron. I was a York yeoman myself many, many years ago.
All things considered, it's nice we only went 26 minutes above what we were aiming for, past what we were aiming for.
That's my fault. Great job, Bobano. Go out there and get that cash. Remember, everybody, Bobano's Twitter account got hacked, so follow him at Bobano Bets, Bobano Bets. Bobano, I know it's a huge NHL card tomorrow. If you want, I'm going to send you the link to our horse stream. If you want to jump on for a few minutes and tell us your looks in NHL at any point over the 10 hours, we would absolutely love that. No pressure, but I will send you the link. See if you could jump on and hang with us for a little bit. But thank you so much for your time and hard work. Get that cash, my man. Any last words for the Cappers supporting the show?
Yeah, just have a great weekend. Cash some tickets. Troy will do a great job, I'm sure, with the NBA coming up in a moment. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button if you haven't done so. Let's make some money this weekend. Make it a good one. And Jimmy, you're right. If time permitting, I'll try to jump in tomorrow for a little bit during the horse stream.
We'd love that. There he is, Ian Cameron, joining us. It is now time for my co-host in Bankroll Blitz, who was spectacular this year. Absolutely incredible record in the NFL. Is now making his debut here in NBA, a sport very near and dear to his gambling heart, a sport that he cares very deeply about and he makes a lot of money on. And is this the beginning of our next basketball star here on the channel? We shall see. As you know, the stakes are high and we must get that cash. Please welcome, from Chicago, Illinois, All-American wide receiver, but also a very good capper, multi-sport. Please welcome Mr. Troy Torrence to the show. Troy, how are you, my friend?
Doing good, man. Excited to be here. This is the show, Betting with the Bag, that brought me into the fold with Pub Sports Radio. It's the show that turned me into a low backer. And, I'm just honored to be up here with you, JTB. And Bobano, I couldn't say enough about him, man. I have incredible respect for the guy. I don't say that lightly. I call him the encyclopedia of sports betting. His depth of knowledge is insane. It's just incredible to watch. And I'm ready to get going.
I'm excited to watch you work. We all are. Of course, we track every single bet that is made on the show. And we gravitate towards winners. And that's why you are here, Troy. So let's get that cash without further talk. Let's get into the capping, my friend. I'm all ready to rock, so let's go. We start at 7 p.m. Eastern with a bet that, I almost made, but I had to stop myself. I had to stop myself on the Pistons. I had to stop myself on the Mavericks. It didn't all correlate, right? I was like, everybody's seeing this. Everybody just saw the Pistons beat the Bulls. Everybody's watching Cade Cunningham stepping up. Am I just falling into remember in NHL when I would destroy market moves, and it really started 2 years ago, I was noticing that my ROI was negative. And why was that? Because I'm seeing the public play a little bit before the public, because I do this every single day, almost every waking minute. So let's roll. 7 p.m. Eastern, Cleveland Cavaliers 38-20, 18-10 on the road at the Pistons, 9-49, 4-24 at home, Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, Michigan. Now, anybody who watched the Bulls-Cavaliers game has got to be shocked that the Bulls dominated the boards against the Cavs. Who can dominate the boards against the Cavs? It was shocking. Absolutely shocking. Now, was it a very tired Cavaliers squad? Is that the reason why they got beaten up on the boards? Let's get into this. Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, Michigan. Cleveland 2-3 since the break. Absolutely music to my ears because I'm on the Bucks to win the Central plus 275. I bet I only made a week and a half ago. Now they're big favorites for 2-3 since the All-Star break. 96.96 possessions a game. That's 21st fastest in the NBA. They're shooting the ball well. 48.6 from the field. 40% from three. These are all post-break statistics I'll be giving you. Detroit 1-3 since the break, 97.25 possessions a game, slightly faster than Cleveland, 50.3% from the field and 42.2% from three. Are they capable of keeping this up? That is the question. Von Polo says the Cavs hate to cover. Cavaliers have beaten the Pistons 8 straight times. Their 2-game winning streak snapped in a 132-123 double overtime loss on Wednesday at Chicago. Our guy Troy was courtside for that one. Evan Mobley went for 25, 13, and 4. This is their third game in 4 nights. And I already talked about Cunningham. He is rolling in that 105-95 victory at Chicago on Tuesday. Cunningham went for 26 and 5. Since the All-Star break, 28.5 points per game, 6.3 assists, and 5.5 rebounds, looking like the number 1 overall draft pick that he was. Detroit, though, the line is starting to move towards him. We're going to be using Pinnacle moves. This opened up at 9 at -105, and I saw all the money on those. When's the line going to move towards him? Now it's -9 at -114. So we have 9 cents of movement towards the Detroit Pistons. From a total side of things, we are sitting at 221 flat, -108 to the over. This opened up at 221.5, got down to 220.5. Now it's sitting at 221. And then cash-wise here, 76% of tickets and 88% of cash on the Detroit Pistons. The reason why I'm not on them. 26% of tickets, 55% cash on the over. Troy Torrence, game 1 of your NBA season here. Can't wait to watch you rock. Take it away. We have the Cavs at the Pistons.
This is a very interesting spot, in my opinion. And when you talk about the cash flow, this just happened with the Pistons. They were just a very public side in Chicago, and they got the cash still at this point. So this Cavs team's on a downtrend, coming off that devastating loss in Chicago. Both teams coming off games versus Chicago. Pistons on the uptrend, coming off the dub versus Chicago. But one thing I noticed right away when I look at this game, sticks out like a sore thumb. You got a big home dog, and the market's moving towards the under. If you follow me on Twitter, you probably know this. This has been an extremely profitable angle from the database. I'm betting unders on totals this season. I have a 21% ROI. And that's specifically because of the database. I never bet totals in the NBA. If you ever listen to me in the chat, I would always poo-poo on people betting totals in the NBA, saying it's a complete gamble, complete coin flip. But that has obviously changed. And here's what I got from the database before I get into it a little bit more. Since December 19th, because that's how far my database goes back, okay? I'm slowly building. I'm doing all I can to build it up as much as possible. But since December 19th, home dogs of 7 or more, market moving towards the unders, 28 and 12 to the under. Totals between 219 and 225, which was plus or minus 3 points, 11 and 4 to the under. If 60% plus or more of the bets are on the under, it's 12 and 3 to the under. The reason I wanted to point that out is because in general, don't be scared if it's a very public play, as long as the books are reacting and they're moving the line accordingly. Pistons have gone under in 7 consecutive games, only one of which were at home. The Cavs have actually gone over in 2 games, but the one in Chicago should have gone under. I was actually on the over in that game, so I'm lucky to be sitting where I was. Unlucky that the Cavs didn't pull out the money line for me. However, so let's talk about line functionality a little bit, because this is where it gets very interesting. These two teams played twice so far this season. In game 1, the total was 225.5, went under by 15 points. In game 2, so what did the books do in reaction to that result? They moved it up to 228. And that 228 was bet up to 231.5. It went over by 20 points. And today, this line opened at 223 at Bet Online. It's down to 221.5. This line functionality and movement, I mean, this is just a perfect spot. I mean, this is saying that the market has been extremely efficient in this matchup, and right now they're pointing to the under. Pistons at home, market moving to the under, 8-1 to the under. The top in the database at home. Market is so efficient in Pistons home games. Cavs on the road, market moving toward the under, is 8-0 to the under. So you got 2 teams where the market is extremely efficient in analyzing their totals and moving the market accordingly. So, I mean, if you listen to me at all, you know exactly where I'm going with this. I posted this last night at 222.5. I'll take whatever the best available is on this under. And this exact market, based on the cash flow, based on the spread, based on this market, the average point scored is 202.5. So I'm actually considering an alt line, and I actually did play an alt line with a free bet that I have that I'll get into at the end of the show.
But
and also, so I mean, you got the Cavs also coming. I got some more notes on this. Cavs probably going to be pissed off after losing that game in Chicago. What are they going to do? They're probably going to clamp down. After a loss, the Cavs are 12-7 to the under. It should be 13-6, but that game went into double OT. The last 3 times they came off a loss, they played the 76ers, held them to 97. The Bulls held them to 105, and the Bucks, and they held them to 100. They played in Detroit earlier this season off a loss to Portland. They won 110-101, which means the Pistons cover. It goes under. Lastly, Mitchell and LeVert might be out in this game. So you're going to substitute less offense for more defense. Even more reason to bet the under.
With Mitchell and LeVert game time decisions, I felt like they were going to still play Spider. I thought he was going to play just because of the need to fix things. I think the angle that you talk about is clamping down defensively after a loss is strong and very, very
about Donovan Mitchell too. I thought the same thing as you originally, but when I watched him play, I watched that full game, Cavs versus Bulls, and this guy shot 7 in regulation. He shot 7 times. That's the lowest in his career, at least as far as I could go back. He never had less than 10 attempts in a basketball game where he played the full game, when he played 20-plus minutes. Well, he only shot the ball 7 times in regulation. I mean, I don't know if that's pointing to that he might be a little bit more beat up than we're being led on to believe. But maybe they think they could steal one in Detroit. I know coming off a loss, you'd expect a guy like D. Mitch to be in the game. He's very competitive. I mean, he's an elite competitor. I love the guy for that. But I don't know. I'm a little bit on the board of whether he plays or not.
And you tweeted out the under 222.5 at -110. Is that right?
Yes, sir. I tweeted out last night.
All right. Well, you've got it. And I'm starting to see your action now coming in. Okay, beautiful. Okay, so under 222.5 -110 tweeted out by our guy Troy. You make a very good argument, a very, very appealing argument here. I've been trying to stay away from totals, but this one does make sense. Let's roll on to the next spot on the board here. And BJ giving us important news. Doncic, Fox, and PG all participating in shoot-around. All participating in shoot-around. BJ saying Giannis, Grant Williams, probable. Okay, and Podziemski, doubtful for the Warriors. Okay, let's roll on to the next spot on the board. And thank you for that information. Very crucial. Next up for 7 p.m. Eastern, Charlotte Hornets 15-44, 7-22 on the road at the Philadelphia 76ers, 33-25, 18-13 at home. We're at Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Charlotte 2-3 over since the All-Star break, playing 22nd fastest pace, 96.9 possessions a game, not shooting the ball well, 41.9 from the field, 33.2 from 3. Philadelphia 1-3, 97 possessions a game, 41.1 from the field, and 35.6% from 3. The first thing that happened with me was I was shocked that the Philadelphia 76ers were 11-point favorites. And it was extremely telling that the first move went to 11.5. I thought, who in their right mind would want, after what we're seeing from the Sixers, would want to back them at this number? And that move was just, it was like, okay, I'll just talk it out. So at this point, we've had no movement, but this is an alarming number, one that you wouldn't expect. From a total standpoint, we're sitting at 214. This opened up at 212.5, and this went down to 211. So it was at 211, and it was juiced to the under. It was minus 112 to the under. And then we started getting this climb back. This climb has come all the way, and now we have a 1.5 move towards the over. Very, very interesting. Shout out to the True Teller in the house. Then from a from a cash flow perspective here, we have 27% of the tickets and 82% of the cash on the Sixers. So it's not dumb money. Like anybody else, I was, if we didn't look at any of this information, I would be on the Pistons and I would be on the Hornets. I don't see myself being on either of them. There's 10% of tickets on the over and 39% of the cash, and the market is reacting. Charlotte on the second half back-to-back after a 111-99 loss at home in Milwaukee last night. Second straight loss to the Bucks over 3 days. Brandon Miller went for 21. Grant Williams went for 17. Miles Bridges 15 and 10. They've lost 3 of their past 4. They haven't scored 100 points in 4 straight. Now they're, the third worst offensive team based on points per game, 107.5. Sixers come in off their second straight loss, 117-99 at the Celtics on Tuesday. They're 4-8 without Embiid. They don't have DeAnthony Melton either. Maxey went for 32. If anybody has had money on the Sixers over the last little while, they want to reach out through the TV and take a sharpened chopstick to the larynx of Tobias Harris, who's been an absolute no-show when he needs to be the second option. He's averaging 10.8 points per game since in the last 4. I know he was sick and had an ankle injury. He's shooting 32.1% from the field, an abomination. Take it away for us here, Troy. Game 2 on the board, Hornets, Sixers.
Man, we share very similar sentiment when it comes to this game. I first looked at this line. I could not believe my eyes. I thought for sure I'd find a way onto the Charlotte Hornets, but I have definitely not gotten there yet. I recently backed a trend when I faded the Pistons in Chicago, and it was home teams laying double digits with a less than 600%, 0.6 winning percentage. And it's really hard to go back to the well. The Hornets are a team I've kind of wanted to back recently, especially seeing what they've been able to do defensively. I know they got crushed last night, but they ended up holding the Bucks to only 111 after the Bucks, were on pace to put up well over 125. And it was a terrible spot for them last night. So I kind of want to let that game go and not really take that into much account. But it is still a back-to-back. And the problem is I don't have a big enough sample size with this Hornets team to feel comfortable in this spot. And it makes me realize that the books probably have a massive edge in this specific market. The database would agree, because the database would suggest that this market is extremely sharp. The standard deviation between the spread and the result is near 0, meaning the spread is going to be, well within it's going to land right around the spread. Excuse me. But one thing that I did notice after we talked about this market and the spread, this actually applies to the money line. So I don't know if we talked about the money line, it probably doesn't matter in a double-digit price range anyway. But usually when you see splits like this on a big home favorite, it's the home team spot. So if you give me a free play, I'm going to be on the 76ers, but I haven't gotten there, and I probably will not get to the window. I see more value in the cart later on.
I don't like flipping, but this mark is telling us that the Sixers smash because this line makes no sense. Within your
covers, exactly. And Jimmy, you're right. I mean, if you looked at the sample specifically, you'd see that a 10-point favorite wins by 12, a 12-point favorite wins by 15. It's landing, within one possession of the final score. So I think you would be on the right side. I don't think it's necessarily a flip.
I know I might get there. I might get there. One thing about your database here is that I imagine that if you completely cut out the 5 games before the All-Star break and the 5 games after the All-Star break, you'd get a better result if you focus on it, because it's just nuts. And you can't trust what goes on after the All-Star, the first few games. You just can't trust. It doesn't. Your database is going to excel in the heart of the season. There's just the volatility before and after the All-Star break is, I think, what hurt you last week. You can't base it on what's been going on. And as you develop,
it's a really good point. Really good point that I really never really took into consideration until I did think about it a little bit after I had, a pretty big downswing the last week, but that's a really good point.
And, I thought that the downswing was perfectly explainable. Why would things work if you're planning like heart of the season action in the first week back or first week leading up to the All-Star break? So, but
right. And in my database right now, I don't have the beginning of the season, which would also kind of be something you'd want to remove from the sample.
Yeah.
Five games out of the gate.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's roll on. Next up for us, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, we have the Dallas Mavericks 34-25, 16-12 on the road. The Boston Celtics 46-12, 27-3 at home. TD Garden in Boston. This was another spot where I was shocked at the spread. I was shocked. Now, look, I did not think, because the Mavericks lost a heartbreaker and it was Luka's birthday, that he wasn't going to deliver. We have a big Slovenian community in Toronto. I mean, he's just too special of a basketball player to expect them just not to show out. And so then I watched him just be magic. Of course, he's just magic every time. He's so silky smooth. He looks like he's going in slow motion. And I was astonished at this line. And the line, with the Mavericks +9, this moves to 10. This is exactly what happened in the Philadelphia game. And I'm like, good God, talk it out, man. Don't just sit here and back these double-digit dogs. Right now, it's at 9, but it's juiced to the Celtics. You could say it's a half-point move, but I would say it's like a quarter of a point move just because it's even money for the Mavs at +9. So that is the spread situation. From a total perspective, you have a 237 flat. That's exactly where this opened, and it dropped immediately. This went down to 235 before it started climbing to 237. Then from a cash flow perspective, we have 62% of the tickets and 71% of the cash on the Dallas Mavericks. Why wouldn't you be on them with this number? I mean, it just feels like the books are putting out these numbers, coaxing action. And of course, the bigger bets in the public on the Mavericks of this number. It's a crazy number. 41% of tickets and 82% of cash is on the over. Ray Charles looking at Porzingis over 20.5 points and rebounds. So here we go. Dallas 2-2 since the break. 8th fastest pace in the league. Just 101.5 possessions a game. Boston playing at a crawl. 29th fastest since the All-Star break. 93.67 possessions a game. They're undefeated over that stretch. They're shooting 54.6% from the field. Both teams are shooting well from 3. 41.3 for the Celtics, 41.1 for the Mavericks. I mean, they're very well. And Dallas shooting 50.5% from the field. Mavericks snapped their 2-game losing streak with a 136-125 win at the Raptors on Wednesday night. Luka, 25th birthday, 30 points, 16 assists, 11 boards, 11th triple-double of the season. He's just a monster. He's gone for 25 and 9 straight. Over that 9 games, he's cleared 40 twice. And he's listed as questionable with a sprained left ankle. But we deal with that with Luka, all the time. Game time decision right now. These Celtics are healthy. They're dangerous. There's not, and also, so Dallas is the 3rd game in 4 nights. Kyrie went for 29. PJ Washington went for 23. Celtics come off their 9th straight win, 117-99 at home versus the Sixers on Tuesday. Brown goes for 31. Tatum goes for 29. Tatum had 15 in the 4th. A dangerous Celtics team. Look, in NBA, I kind of gravitate towards dogs, but the market is telling me here that these big favorites are live. Take it away for us. Celtics at home to the Mavericks. Bo Jackson saying Kyrie spot tonight. Billy Friedy says Flat Earther returns to Boston. Take it away for us. Big one at TD Garden.
God, I really would like to have action in this game. Question for Nasty Nate in the chat. Have you ever faded the Celtics, bro? Celtics smash. I love seeing it. I mean, I just get a kick out of it. I know he's big on the C's, and it's a good team to be big on, right? But this, again, another line that sticks out like a sore thumb. I don't think Dallas has ever been this big of a dog, at least not that I found, with Luka and Kyrie in. And I couldn't find a situation where that was the case. And when you see a line like this, you immediately hit the pause button. I mean, nothing could be more blatant than laying a spread like this. And Luka is questionable. I know we said that he was in shoot-around, but based on this market, I mean, do we really think he plays? Third game in 4, like you said, last game of a road trip. They're coming off a win, right? They probably feel comfortable with grabbing I think they're split on the road on this road trip. But the Celtics haven't covered a spread at home shorter than 11 since before Christmas. 0-7 ATS the last 7 times. And in 6 out of those 7 games, 60% or more of the money was on Boston. And the line moved their way. I guess the books are thinking, well, we can make Boston this big of a favorite because people keep betting on them. Or at least they'll get enough cash to de-risk to some way, shape, or form. This team could be the best team in the NBA, but it's clear that they're overpriced. And I don't know if it's in this specific spot. Like I'm not getting ready to bet the Mavericks at this point, but is Boston overpriced? Because Dallas, they've been known. I mean, you watch Dallas games, they fold late in games when they realize it's over. When they realize there's no point to return, they fold. They let go of the rope. And I want a team that's not going to let go of the rope with this type of spread. Defensively, the Mavs, I like what I've seen out of them. I think they're much better with Lively and Exum, obviously, in the lineup. Exum's awesome. I love what he brought to the team and what he's bringing to the table. But it's just crazy to me that with the star power in Dallas, and this line is still at 9.5, books are kind of telling us what's about to unfold here. This price range, the market has been extremely inefficient. Spreads between 8 and 11. The sharp action is 11 and 17 ATS, and the market move is 10 and 12 ATS. And on the total sharps and the line move is sub 45%. So that's telling me that this market is really not one that is very telling in most cases. And when you start to introduce cash flow splits into the equation, you get mixed results. I just don't think I'm going to end up being involved in this game, at least until we get some clarity on Luka. And I know that he was in shoot around. That should be a little bit more clarity, but still not enough for me with this spread.
Yeah, I think the first quarter has gone from 3.5 to 2.5 at Will Hill.
3.5 to 2.5, you said, Jim?
Yeah, which is such a surprise. The opposite at Pinnacle. It went from 3 to 3.5 and back to 3. Because I have a feeling the Celtics just crush off the top. Third game in 4 nights, coming off of Luka's birthday, coming off that, I have a feeling it's Celtics early. And if it's Celtics early, I mean, you can expect it to be Celtics late as well. And I'm telling you, right when this came out, I could not believe the line. I couldn't believe the Sixers and Celtics were this big of a favorite. Now I can't see how I couldn't back both of those. Okay. Anything official for you here in Maverick Celtics?
I kind of agree with you that I would be looking towards the first half on the Celtics. If you put a gun to my head, made me take a side right now, it'd be Celtics. And I would struggle to pick between first half and full game because of the letting go of the rope theory with the Mavs team, because that's very real. But it's still such a big number. I could see a lot of situations where this falls right around the number. I'd probably go first half, but I am not moving on it official.
I'm going to keep a very keen eye on this. I'm flipping on towards the favorites and going up against the public. Let's roll on. 7:30 p.m. Eastern. It is officially an OVO night here in Toronto. Bo Jackson confirming that here. Scotiabank Arena, Friday night, OVO night. Golden State Warriors, 31-27, 15-12 on the road. At the Raptors, 22-37, just 12-17 at home. Warriors are 4-1 over their past 5 games post All-Star break. 11th fastest pace in the league. They've slowed down, 100.4 possessions game. They were a little faster last night. 45.6 from the field and 36.2 from three. We had a feeling they would start faster just because the Knicks are the slowest pace in the league. So you want to kind of mess with whatever team you're playing with. They thought we went real fast. We might mess with them, and it worked. They got out to an 18-4 lead. Curry went for 31 and had 11 boards. And Curry was not playing well. He needed MSG to get back because he was shooting 31.5 from the field and 21.6 from three in the 3 games previous to him lighting up. So he was very good. Very good. 8 of 18 from three. He went 11 of 26 from the field. In that win over the Wizards, he went 6 of 21 from the field. So it was impressive. Kuminga went for 25. They've won 10 of 12. Thompson went for 16 off the bench. Chris Paul, 11 and 6. That's just his second game back for Chris Paul. So will Chris Paul be in the lineup here? My thought initially was no, but he's there. They have Wiggins as game time decision, but I thought he's gone from the team indefinitely. I don't know why it's his game time decision. I'm not going to care about that because he's unless anybody knows something that I don't. Wiggins is gone indefinitely. Raptors had their 3-game post All-Star break winning streak snapped on 136-125 loss at home to the Mavericks. Scotty Barnes 19, 11, and 7 with 3 steals. He has a double streak at 5 games, 21.4 points, 10.4 boards, shooting 50% from the field. Von Polo says, "Give me the Raptors. Warriors didn't even get in town until 7 a.m. this morning. How can't they be tired?" Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. I'm on first quarter, so let's move over to full game. We have Toronto sitting at +3. They opened up at 3, and that's where they are. They were 3.5 for a little while. I mean, how could this line be moving to the Warriors? I agree with Von Polo's thought process. Now it's come back. From a total side of things, we're dealing with a 236. This opened up at 237.5, dropped to 236. And then cash-wise here, we have 78% of tickets on the Raptors, just 31% of cash, 54% of tickets and 94% cash on the over. Here we go. How do we not back the Raptors here, Troy?
I'm digging through it because this line is moving. But I'm waffling back and forth in this game. Warriors have been great on back-to-backs, or at least good on back-to-back situations, particularly versus the Eastern Conference. But situationally and from a matchup standpoint, and VPs is pointing out some good points in the chat. It's hard not to like the Raptors. Where does Golden State struggle to defend? Struggle in transition, and they struggle in the paint, and that's exactly where Toronto Raptors like to do their damage. When you're on back-to-back, it just makes things way more difficult to bring the same level of physicality and the same energy that you had brought the night before. Because that game last night, I mean, the Knicks definitely didn't let go of the rope last night. They were trying to push them for all they're worth. Now the Warriors pulled it out. And this has been their price range, just like yesterday. Warriors on the road, around 3-ish points, give or take 1 or 2 points. They're 4-0 ATS, and they're winning and covering by margin. In this first matchup, the Raptors were in Golden State. They had Quickly, Barrett, and all of them, but they also had Siakam on the floor. But the Warriors, they didn't have Draymond. And Steph Curry shot 0 for 9 from three-pointer, from 3-point range. When have you ever seen Steph Curry not make a 3 and shoot 9 of them? That's just it was kind of ridiculous to me, and it made me realize that was a pretty big outlier of a game. And Warriors, this team has just been money on the road as favorites, 9-4 ATS, 11-2 straight up. This is also a market where I like to back road favorites between 2 and 5. Now, this is starting to creep back down. When I first put this together, this database trend, it was when the line was at 3.5. Road favorites between 2.5, market moving their way, 23-14 ATS. If 70% of the cash is on the road team money line, 70% or more, 14-6 ATS. That applies to the Warriors last night. That also applies to Memphis last night. And I was on both those spots. But the issue, like I talked about, back in this Warriors, around the back-to-back situation, they got Boston on deck in a nationally televised spot, and they definitely don't match up well with this Raptors team. I really woke up hoping to see that this line had ticked down towards the Raptors, and I would feel very comfortable taking the Raptors. And it's starting to move that way. I'm interested in backing the Raptors at this point. I don't think I'm going to be on the Warriors, but this line winds up back at 3.5 or 4, I might end up with the Golden State Warriors ticket in my pocket. So I'm going to let the market dictate. The market's very efficient in this price range, so I'll just wait on it. But the three, there's only a few threes out there. This is a really tough spot. I might be on the Raptors. I need a little time to think about it. I might be on it before the end of the show.
You see two, I guess you see 2.5s?
I see 2.5s right now. Yeah.
I see just 1. 2.5 at Heritage. Let me refresh this. Maybe that's it. I only see 1. Yeah, just 1.
So
every other offshore, it's just Heritage at 2.5. Every single other offshore is at 3. Everyone, and it's not even a juiced 3. Heritage is at 2.5. They had it at 3.5 at 6:30 this morning. They moved it to 3 at noon. They moved it to 3.5 27 minutes ago. 2.5 27 minutes ago. Yeah, I think 2.5s are coming. They're just not here. FanDuel is 2.5, circa 2.5. Okay.
What do you think, Jim? Are you leaning?
I think that the Raptors should be bet here. I stayed off of them against the Mavs. That was on Wednesday. I think the Raptors should be bet here, and I'm going to bet them. And I'm going to bet them after the show. I expect the market to move away from the Warriors. We still have the tickets on the Warriors. Yeah, I'm moving on the Raptors. This is just the perfect sandwich spot. I mean, they have to leave Madison Square Garden and get ready to go against the Raptors. Now it is, with OVO night, we would sell out anyways. It's Friday night. But yeah, I'm moving on the Raptors.
All right, give me the Raptors plus the 3, or give me the best number available, Jim. For the show purpose, I'm seeing a 3 at 110 right now that I could take.
3. I think we can get you lower. Just plus 3 at -105 at Bet Online. Plus 3 at -108 at Pinnacle. That is juice to the Raptors, anyways. But yeah, plus 3 at -105. You are on the board. Raptors plus 3 -105. All right. You know what I see happening is Warriors covering the money line, but not covering the spread. Let's roll.
So I'm starting to feel like the 3 is important. I agree with that.
I think 3 is important, yeah. Let's move on. Next up for us, 8 p.m. Eastern, Portland Trailblazers 15-42, 6-22 on the road at Memphis Grizzlies, 20-39, 7-22 at home at FedEx Forum, Memphis, Tennessee. Don't forget our horse race popping off after Troy and I are finished NBA. FedEx Forum. So initially, I was like, well, of course, Friday night, Memphis. These two teams are the worst shooting teams in the NBA post All-Star break. Of course, it's going to be Memphis on Friday night. But then you dive deeper. Now, both teams are dealing with all of these injuries. But how in the world can you possibly bet the Grizzlies without Jaren Jackson Jr. and the way he's playing right now? I mean, against Minnesota, he went for 33 points and 13 boards. He's averaging 25.1 points per game, shooting 44.4% from the field in the last 9 games. So that made me flip immediately. And this is the first of back-to-back games here in Memphis. So these two teams play tonight and tomorrow night. So it's very important to keep a very close eye on what goes on tonight, because you're going to want to hammer it tomorrow night. Both teams have looked awful post All-Star break. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We have a Portland now at +1. I probably should have moved on them earlier. +2.5 is what they opened at. But how could I? Because my first initial thought was to back the Grizzlies. I mean, who wakes up and bets Portland? This total is at 208, juice to the under. It's now 207.5 actually. So we have 1 point move to the under. And another part, how do you not move on the under in this one? Now you can say, oh, they're going to shoot better than they've been shooting. Portland shooting 23.9 from 3 since the All-Star break. Memphis shooting 26.5 from 3. Neither team shooting well from the field. I mean, if you look at how many teams in the league are shooting better from 3 than the Blazers and Grizzlies are shooting from 2. Portland 40.4 from the field and 39.8 is Memphis. Both playing slow pace. 95.1, 7 possessions for Portland, 27th in the league. 95.75 for Memphis, 25th in the league. When we get to the cash flow, we have 49% of tickets and 78% of cash on the Grizzlies. 38% of tickets and 60% of cash on the over. The volatility is so enormous that maybe I should just stay off. First of a back-to-back, as I said, Blazers coming off their 9 straight loss, 106-96 at home to Miami on Tuesday night. They play without Scoot. He's got the adductor. They had Malcolm Brogdon out with elbow tendonitis. Shaden Sharp out with abdominal surgery. They're both out. And now DeAndre Ayton is doubtful. He left the game at halftime with a right hand sprain. That guy just doesn't give a fuck. He just doesn't care. Now he's been playing pretty well. In the last 12 games, 18.6 points, 11.3 boards. The X-rays are negative. I'm sure he could play. Memphis comes in off their third straight loss, 110-101 at Minnesota on Wednesday. Zaire went for 16. So you have no Ja, no Desmond Bain, no Brandon Clark, Marcus Smart, John Conchar, Luke Kennard, Scottie Pippen Jr., all out. And now no Jaren Jackson Jr.? Take it away for us here, Troy. Blazers, Grizzlies.
Man, Grizzlies in this pick-em-ish price range just looks like such a damn bargain. Both teams in tank mode, but just looking at this injury report, I mean, that's how you know something's wrong with the NBA, is just looking at that damn injury report every single day and seeing what the Memphis Grizzlies are doing. And the Portland Trailblazers aren't far behind with Brogdon. I don't even know what's wrong with Brogdon, so maybe I shouldn't talk about the Blazers as much because I really don't follow that team very closely. And let's look a little bit deeper. I don't know how deep you need to look when you see that Duop Reith is starting at center for the Trailblazers, 27-year-old rookie. This is a team that I'm really not interested in backing without Brogdon. And Jimmy, you've inspired me to be more willing to bet bum fights, but come on now. Duop Reith is playing NBA basketball today. And just like you said, I have the same exact note in all bold. The range of outcomes is so wide, it's hard to make an educated gamble. Plug this market into the database, line opens at 3, moves down towards 1.5, moving towards the road team, this low of a total. It's a perfect 50-50 split on the spread. The under is 11-1, but the lowest total in that sample is 214. And guess what? The average total points in this sample is 208 exactly. It's exactly where the number is sitting right now. It's probably a spot if you want to. I wouldn't bet this game. I would wait to see what unfolds tonight and bet the other way in game 2. But as for this spot, I have no interest in investing.
Yeah, you're right. This is just coin flippy. I mean, we're trying to make educated decisions based on angles. What angle could you have? Well, you could say, well, the best 2 players on the floor are Anthony Simons and Jeremy Grant.
Right.
That would be a fair thing to say. So the Blazers have the 2 best players on the floor, but they're on the road. I mean, this is just, yeah, I agree. Kelly McKinnon says Backwood. Let's roll on. Next up for us, 8 p.m. Eastern, Sacramento Kings 33-25, 17-15 on the road at the Minnesota Timberwolves 42-17, 22-6 at home. If those 2 teams weren't shooting so horrifically, I would probably bet the under. But I bet you they see a couple buckets go in. I mean, they're not as bad as their numbers explain they are.
And look at and they're just benching more of their defensive players like Gigi Jackson. He's questionable now. Kennard. I agree. I agree.
It's a mess. Wine Time wants to be talked into Kings. Let's see if we can do it here. We're at Target Center, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Sacramento, 2-2 since the break. 97.63 possessions a game, 49.5 from the field, 38.7 from 3. Minnesota, 12th fastest pace. They're 3-1 since the break, 45.5 from the field, 37.4 from 3. Not shooting quite as well as the Sacramento Kings. The Kings right now are plus 6.5 at minus 103. This opened up at 6.5, went to 7, got back to 6.5. So at this point, we have a 2-cent move towards the Minnesota Timberwolves. From a total side of things here, we're dealing with a 225. This opened up at 224, got up to 225, with 1 point move towards the over. We get to the cash flow here. In this spot, we have 62% of the tickets and 83% of the cash on the Timberwolves. Line's not moving towards them. 60% of tickets, 63% of cash on the over. This is all making the Kings more and more appealing. Doug already on the Kings. So Sacramento comes in off their second straight loss, 117-96 at Denver on Wednesday. Fox, 26.9 points per game, and he's listed as questionable. So he sat out against the Nuggets because of the left knee injury. How can you... now we heard BJ saying that he was at shoot arounds. Is that right, BJ? Game time decision right now, and so is Ant Edwards. Ant is a game time decision right now. So Sabonis, Keegan Murray rolling, but is De'Aaron Fox going to be out there? The Wolves coming off their third straight win, 110-101 at home over Memphis on Wednesday, and Edwards and Cat and Rudy doing their thing. Billy Frieda says this is why the NBA is nearly impossible for me to cap so many questions on who's in and who's out. Take it away here for us, Troy. Any interest in Kings, Timberwolves, or do you need the De'Aaron Fox news?
Yeah, I think I'm going to need more news. This is my favorite game on the board, probably the best game on the board. Now I'd love to have some action in this type of game. And it's just a really tough spot. So you break this down a little bit. First of all, the number is all over the T-Wolves, in my opinion. Road teams have won both matchups in the regular season so far. T-Wolves won as 2-point dogs in Sacktown, and the Kings won as 4-point dogs in Minnesota. Now the T-Wolves are laying 6 at the house. I think that line functionality right there makes me check a box in favor of the T-Wolves. The matchup certainly favors the T-Wolves. T-Wolves, number 1 in defending the paint. That's exactly where the Kings like to do their damage. Also, number 2 in three-point efficiency. The T-Wolves are number 2 in three-point efficiency, and the Kings are 30th in defending the three. Another check for the T-Wolves. And this price range is where it gets a little confusing for me because, and I would love to hear your opinions or those of you in the chat who might have an opinion on this. It's very unpredictable and counterintuitive in this 5 to 8 point spread range. Spreads that open between 5 and 8. Market is only 10 and 22 ATS, meaning the way the spread moves has been completely misleading. I expect that to regress significantly. And I'll be looking for opportunities to buck the trend. Is that right here? This market is moving towards the Kings. If I wanted to buck the trend, that would mean backing the Kings in this spot. But so I don't have I'm still trying to figure out what to do with this market because it's been so strong. It's just consistent. Every time I make an entry that fits this profile, I'm just like, what is going on? How could the market be so inefficient in this range? I mean, it just don't make that much sense. And you look at the Kings, they're only 1 in 4 ATS versus teams top 10 in defensive efficiency. That's the Timberwolves are number 1 in defensive efficiency. And I, just like you said, I need more clarity before making a decision in this game. You got Edwards and Fox questionable. And I think Kyle Anderson, he's an important piece in my opinion. He's probably not going to play this game. This line could swing 2 to 3 points based on this, what we hear from the injury report. So I'll be sitting on the sideline waiting for the market to develop a little bit and the injury reports to come out. But I think I would like to be on the T-Wolves.
Interesting. I expect De'Aaron Fox to play. He was upset after the Heat game, and he doesn't play against the Nuggets. I mean, I expect.
I think he's in. I think Foxy's going to play. I don't know about Ant Edwards. I don't know. I got to look more into what his situation is, but I'd rather just let this all play out, and I would rather know exactly what's going on before I put my hard-earned money on it.
I think they both play. Even if Ant's not 100%, he's just that kind. He just wants to hoop. He just wants to hoop 82 games a year like Mike, and I respect that. Let's move on to the next spot on the board. 8 p.m. Eastern. Indiana Pacers 34-26, 14-14 on the road at New Orleans Pelicans 35-25, 17-12 at home at Smoothie King Center, New Orleans, Louisiana. Pacers 3-1 post All-Star break, 4th fastest pace in the league, 103.38 possessions a game, 50.9 from the field, 37 from 3. Pelicans are 2-3 post All-Star break, 99 possessions a game. That's 15th in the league. They're shooting 46.2 from the field and 38.4 from 3. These teams just met on Wednesday night. 123-114 win in Indiana. It was Pacers' 4th win in 5 games. It was 5 games, It was the Pelicans' 3rd loss in 4 games. Tyrese Halliburton, 2 of 11 from the field against the Raptors. And then he was 7 of 15 from the field against the Pelicans. So, I mean, now he's still, 13 assists, not, 1 turnover. He's still playing well. And the Pelicans, Willie Green pulled JV and used Larry Nance Jr. and Zion at center because Indiana's fast break was just crushing JV. And then what happened? I mean, then all of a sudden, Indiana's got a 50 to 40 rebounding edge, which would never happen. I feel like Willie Green doesn't know really what to do. He can't press the right buttons. He certainly didn't last week, but this has got to be a bounce back spot for the Pelicanos. We're on the second half of back-to-back in that spot. So let's go over the line history here. First off, this total is at 239, opened at 238, now at 239. 1 point move towards the over. And then from a spread perspective, we are sitting with a -5. Pelicanos are -5. Opened up at 4.5, went to 5.5. It was a 5.5 this morning, so I thought, it's a pretty simple look for the Pelicanos. Then it moves to 5 at 8 in the morning. So now we have just this half-point move to the Pelicans. from a cash flow standpoint, we have 69% of the tickets and 93% of the cash on the Pelicans. That's crazy. Crazy that it would move from 5.5 to 5. The books are not respecting all the money on the Pelicans. 83% of tickets, 98% cash on the over. Take it away for us here, Troy. Pacers, Pelicans.
What book were you citing when you seen that line movement, Jim? Just curious.
Pinnacle. It's always going to be Pinnacle. I'm only going to talk Pinnacle.
So we should talk about this. I would love to talk more about what book, but in the Daily Sports, I kind of did a pretty in-depth analysis on Pinnacle itself. And when you're looking at openers, maybe the line movement itself matters, but comparing it to the opener, I don't know, because this line, I'm seeing a lot. Actually, at a lot of the offshores, you see at 5.5, still coming down to 5. But anyways, when do you want to back the Pelicans? In my opinion, and if you base it off history, it's at home off a loss. They're 15-8 ATS off a loss, and they're just coming off this loss against Indiana, where they were down 20 points early in this game. And late in the fourth quarter, with about 3 minutes remaining, they cut this lead to 3 points. And the Pacers, they've been in this spot before, where they've played the same team on back-to-back games, the same exact team. They haven't covered both of those games at all this season, not once. The 0-4. And as you know, like the Pelicans just lost against Indiana's 4-point dogs. And still, this line. So you got to think about where it opened. And because they were just 4-point dogs in Indiana, lost and didn't cover. Now they're at home and they're laying 5 points. So yeah, the line is moving in the direction, but the opener itself was very strong, in my opinion. And this is another game where I see a very clear advantage in the paint with the Pelicans. Number one team in the NBA in the Pelicans, also number one in the defensively against 3-point shooting. And that's certainly where the Indiana Pacers like to put their eggs in that basket, especially on the road. Let's look at the Pelicans at home off a loss, not just off a loss. Let's look at them specifically at home off a loss. So yeah, you got the Bulls where they lost, did not cover. You look prior to that, they beat the Jazz by 30, the Hornets by 20. They lost against Memphis in OT, but that was with John Morant and the full pack of Bane and all of them were playing. They beat the T-Wolves by 14, the 76ers by 10, the Kings by 36, and the Mavs by 20. All those rosters were at full strength, and they absolutely hammered those teams. In all 9 of those games, they covered the first half spread. The Pelicans have been an absolute wagon this season in the first half, and I think it's a perfect spot to go back to the well with the first half. Home favorites who are top 10 in defensive efficiency and are laying more than 3 points with a high total that's above 235. So I'm looking at teams with the high defensive rating, laying points, and with a high total, which is telling me that the opposing team doesn't have a strong defense and is likely has a very strong offense. Well, those teams are 10-4 ATS. Home favorites in this price range, market moving their way. This hasn't been an extreme. This has been very similar to what we just talked about with the Timberwolves and the Kings. And I get tongue-tied even talking about it, because thinking about it's making me trip. I don't know what to expect. These home favorites, and there has to be regression. This trend has to reverse or regress in some way, shape, or form, which makes me concerned about backing the Pelicans in this spot. But you keep digging a little deeper, and I don't know what the money line cash flow is, Jim. I know you talked about it, because I've actually been falling in love a little bit in this price range with money line cash flow, because it's been the highest correlation to the final result, followed by a movement on the total in the NBA and college basketball. I've been finding them very, very telling. So you got home favorites who are getting less than 50% of the money line bets and more than 50% of the money line cash, are 8-2 ATS, winning by 9 points on average. If that total is higher than 230, 6-0 ATS, winning by 12 points on average. I just talked about why that variable is so important to me, because it shows that it has the highest correlation with the final result. Pelicans at home off a loss, immediate revenge, and they have 3 days off after this game. I think we're about to see an all-out effort by this Pelicans team. I'm on them first half -2.5 and full game -5. Another one where I tweeted it out yesterday. I do see some good trends in favor of the over as well, if that's kind of the way you want to go. When you got highly defensive efficient teams at home and this high of a total, you do see a lot of trends to the over, but I'm way more interested in the Pelicans at home.
Yeah, I don't see why they don't. I don't see why they don't fire back. Were you surprised that this went from 5.5? When it went to 5.5, you probably were like, perfect, all fall into place. And then surprised it goes back to 5?
I was definitely surprised it went back to 5. But then I started to think about it more, and I had, this is something I wanted to touch on. I think I hammered it pretty well. This line swung so much. And I know it's a very unique spot where you got a team that's playing the same team after winning and covering, and it's a home road dichotomy. Like, it's a very rare market, and I wish I had all the numbers. And as the database develops, I hope to have that type of information. But I think that the opener was, maybe it was a little bit too high. I don't know, and I get so tongue tied, like I said, because the market move in these price ranges, medium to large home favorites, it's just not efficient, and I feel like it has to regress at some point. So I'm not putting too much equity into that right now.
DC Capper with you on New Orleans -5 as well. Double up spot for Troy. Pelicans first half -2.5, full game -5. Was that -110 on each?
The 2.5 was juiced -115.
All right. Switch that up to -115. All right, we got 2 games left on the NBA card. 10 p.m. Eastern, and we get the Milwaukee Bucks at Chicago Bulls. Not only do we have BJ's max bet on these Milwaukee Bucks, but we also have the spreadsheet play of the day on these Milwaukee Bucks. Shout out to Ron Crawford. So BJ and Ron Crawford both on these Bucks, who are just 15-14 on the road. The Chicago Bulls 28-31, 16-14 at home. United Center. Milwaukee 4-0 post All-Star break, 95.75 possessions a game, 26th in the league. They've slowed way down. 49.2 from the field, 41.2 from 3. The Bulls 2-2, 98.26 possessions a game, 16th fastest in the league, 42.3 from the field and 28.4 from 3. So Milwaukee shooting the ball so much better than the Bulls right now. Bucks are on the second half of back-to-back after winning their 4th straight game, 111-99 at Charlotte last night. The previous 3 games, they were dominating, winning by an average of 23.7 points per game. Giannis went for 24 and 10. He's shooting 63.8% from the field during this winning streak. Malik Beasley continuing to shoot well from the outside, 5 threes. He went for 19. Dame had 17. And Portis went for 14 and 10. Bulls coming off their second win in 3 games, 132-123 in double overtime at home versus the Cavs on Wednesday. They out-rebounded Cleveland 74-39. Unbelievable. Andre Drummond had 26 boards, 9 offensive. Jesus. Kobe White played 50. DeRozan played 49. DeRozan went for 35 in those 49. DeSomu played 48 minutes. Vooch played 40. DeRozan at 34 years of age is leading the league in minutes per game, 37.9. Shout out to D-Ro. Take a look at the line history here for this one. Second to last game on the board here. Let me get the full game on first half. So let me do the quick switch. We have Chicago right now plus 4.5. They opened up at 4. They're now 4.5. We have a half-point move towards the Bucks. And I was surprised when the line came out. I was surprised at what it was at. This total is at 222. Opened up at 221.5. Half-point move to the over. Cash flow-wise, we have 33% of the tickets and 54% of the cash on the Chicago Bulls. We have 6% of the tickets and 16% of the cash on the over. That's it. 94% of tickets are on the under. Take it away for us here, Troy. The Bulls at home to the Bucks.
Well, I guess I should start with the disclaimer. I've been looking for spots to fade the Bulls. I don't think this team is very competitive. I think the Bucks are uptrending and kind of returning to the statistical, narrative that we've expected from this team. You look at this matchup. This is where I stopped myself before. I just wanted to bet the Bucks at that small number. It stuck out to me again. This number seemed a little short. It was definitely short. You look at the line functionality. This line is 100% short of what it typically is. And I don't know if it's because of the back-to-back situation, but when you look at this matchup, it's just so many checkpoints in favor of the Bucks. The Bucks offense is very polarized. They're high frequency at the rim and high frequency from 3-pointers. The Bulls allow the highest frequency and efficiency from the above the break three and from the corner three. And the Bucks had the highest frequency in those categories over the last 10 games. Bulls exploited Cleveland on the glass. Bucks have been top 5 in the NBA in limiting second chance points. Bulls offense revolves around the mid-range jump shot. DeMar DeRozan, of course, when he's putting up most of your points, you're going to be a high frequency from the mid-range because that's all he does. But the Bucks have been incredible at defending the mid-range jump shot and allow the lowest frequency of the mid-range jump shot, meaning there's not a lot of attempts to be had because the defense is smothering. You beat the Bucks by shooting efficient from three, and that's what the Bulls definitely cannot do. I seen it firsthand with the worst shooting performance in NBA history. The Bulls are coming off 3 straight covers against the Bucks. I feel like it's time for that to regress as well. We know the Bucks, they're uptrending, and they're not the same team they have been this season. 3 straight covers, I don't think they're going to be able to cover a 4th. This is both teams' 4th game in 6 days. So is it really a rest advantage in favor of the Bulls? I'm not so sure. The Bulls are coming off that double OT game, and it's still 4-6. Unfortunately, the sharp action has been, when you look at the database, the sharp action in this price range, home dogs between 2 and 5, has been very efficient, almost too efficient. Another place where we should expect some regression. 19-7 ATS, the sharp action on the spread in this price range, 19-7 ATS. Ultimately, the matchup in the current form of these two teams allows me to override the database. I don't do this very often. I definitely do not fade my database very often, but I expect this market in this price range to experience some regression. I'm on the Bucks. I tweeted out at 3.5. And one tip I could give to anybody out there is that if you like a side, the last check mark you should do is you should compare that line to Pinnacle. Because if you're getting a better number than Pinnacle's currently offering, there's a good chance that that's a good bet you're taking. So that's what I did. I seen there was a 4 at Penny. It was 3.5 at FanDuel. I took the 3.5.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I agree with that take. I agree with all of it. This doesn't make sense, man. Does not make sense. Troy on the Bucks, Ron Crawford on the Bucks, BJ on the Bucks. A lot of love for these Milwaukee Bucks. Let's move on to the final spot on today's show, 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Washington Wizards 9-49, 6-24 on the road. Los Angeles Clippers 37-20, 20-8 at home at Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles, California. I am on a 6-game winning streak in NBA. Had the Lake Show. Didn't have the Wizards last night, and that ate at me. It's a perfect spot to back. It was just that flight across the country that got in my head. And
it almost, you know what got in my head? I seen Sammy Coleman in the chat hyping up the first quarter money line and the Wizards, and I wanted to be on it too. And then I remember the last time I backed the Wizards, see that the Undoing Project, Jimmy. You said it to me before when I bet the Cavs against the Bulls, and that game could have went either way at the end of the day. But I could have saved myself some money.
Yeah, it's such a crucial read for any gamblers out there. It's not a gambling book. It's just psychology, really. But The Undoing Project by Michael Lewis, who wrote Moneyball. 10:30 p.m. Eastern, we have these Wizards and Clippers facing each other. Clippers 1-3 since the break. Not playing well. No Paul George. And Zubac wasn't there either. He was sick for the Lakers game. He's expected to be back here. Clippers 1-3, 97.25 possessions a game, shooting 47.1 from the field and 32.8 from 3. Washington 0-5, fastest pace in the league right now, post break, 104.91. They've been that fast most of the year. 44.4 from the field, 34.9 from 3. They were up 21 points in the fourth quarter. How do they fight back here after the falling apart? Clippers coming off their 3rd loss in 4 games. Both teams are coming off games where they fell apart to the Lakers. Fascinating capping situation. Let's get into the line history. We'll start with this total sitting at 238.5, opened up at 239.5, and went down. This got down to, I guess the only 238 was the lowest, so it's not that big of a deal. From a spread look, this is sitting at 15. Clippers are 15.5 point favorites. This opened up at 15, got up to 15.5, and now then it got up to 16, then it's come back. Interesting. So it did get up to 16. It came back 25 minutes ago. Then from a cash flow standpoint, we have 65% of the tickets and 97% of the cash on the Clippers. I saw that. Of course, if you think the Clippers are going to be angry and bounce back here, but 97% of the cash on the Clip show, 59 and 68 on the under. Last game on the card in your debut episode for NBA, Troy Torrence. Take it away. Wizard Clippers at Crypto.
This spot sets up well for the Clippers, coming off a few ATS losses at home with the rest advantage, 8-4 ATS. There's definitely some angles that kind of make you want to take the Clippers, but I kind of knew the Clippers would show some regression after the All-Star break. With such a veteran team with guys like Harden, Westbrook, Kawhi, got playoff P. I think it's kind of to be expected. Those veteran guys coming back after an extended break. And I don't think I'm ready to try to buck that trend specifically. Clippers have definitely not performed well in this price range as a favorite of 11 points or more. 0-6 ATS, 4-2 to the over. But those two unders, they did come after straight up losses as favorites, which is what they just came off of when they lost to the Lakers. And I think that what we talked about there is just it reflects personnel more than anything. Maybe after the recent performances, they want to come out and clamp down. It has been a great under team, this Clippers team, but this Wizards team on the road has been a great over team. So I really have I have no interest betting this game and betting unders in Wizard game or Clippers at home laying double digits. This is ultimately a pass for me.
And we expect Paul George to be announced in. How much will that move in the line, or is it already said? And I expect him at least. He was at shoot around here. All right. Billy Bear says the season after a straight up loss, the under is 13-6 in Clippers.
Yeah. Gun to my head. I'm taking the under in this game, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to have no action in this game.
They're both shooting the ball so poorly. So this is open up at 239.5, drop to 238.5.
And you get some sharp action on the under, but this is the double digit price range. I said this when Bobano was signing out. Double digit favorites, and I'm just going to pull it back up right here. Double digit favorites with the market moving towards the under sets up well for the over. And 23-16 to the over. Double digit favorites, market moving towards the under. The sharps in this case are 13-24. Again, over under, so 35%.
I guess that should take me off of the under. All right, that is our NBA breakdown. What a tricky card. Let's review action here. We have Troy on the under 222.5 in Cleveland, Detroit. I'm interested in the Sixers, but only because of the market. I'm not going to bet it right when the show ends. I've got to run and pick up LA anyway, so I'm going to have 25 minutes to sit with all this before I get back to the lab. I'm interested in the Celtics early. I really am.
Yeah, I have a note on this one too. I have a note to really consider that. Let's see who's in and who's out. Or for me, it's going to be seeing who's in, who's out, and what happens with the line. But I might be posting about that.
It's one of those things about, Kyrie and Luka walking into your building is you take shit seriously.
Yeah, the star power, man. That's why that number. Yeah, I agree. Because if you look at all the double digit spreads that the larger spreads that the Celtics have laid at home, it's all been versus piss poor teams. It's never been versus a quality team, especially with star power like they have in Dallas. I think it's a good spot, man. I'll probably be with you.
I expect to do that. I'm going to take a little bit of time.
Yeah. Go ahead. I don't want to move on it without. I haven't moved on it yet. I don't want to give something out that I'm not ready to move on. But for my record purpose, it's okay. I'll let it go.
Well, anything you tweet out, if you tag me, will go onto your record as well. The Raptors +3. We heard in the chat it moved to 3.5 at some books. None offshore have. None offshore. Troy moved to +3 -105. Portland, Memphis, we stayed off that bum fight. Sacramento, Minnesota, no action. Troy doubling up on the Pelicanos. BJ saying his numbers tell him the Pacers are live here. I would like to move on the Pelicanos. I'm going to spend more time on it. After sitting with it for a little while, Willie Green has to have a plan after what I kind of thought was a coaching debacle. So he's got to have a plan now. Troy's on the Bucks -3.5 with Ron Crawford and BJ. And then I have some interest in the under, but I should take it off after what you've been talking about here, and I will. I'll ditch it. I'll ditch the under there. All right, that is our show today. Nutflush Allen says, how about the Bucks first half team total over yesterday? Still got it. I love it. Nutflush Allen, get that cash. Get that cash. Troy, great job in your debut here in NBA. I love it, man. Thank you for rocking with us. We need more of you on the channel, hammering NBA until the gridiron comes back around here, which won't be long. Please follow Troy on Twitter at Troy Torrence 11. He asks for nothing in return, man. He asks for nothing. He's just selfless capper, selfless that comes. Just wants you to go out there and beat the books. Troy, any last words for the cappers here supporting the show?
It's a blessing being up here, sitting up here with you, Jimmy. Chat's great. This is the best channel in the industry. I truly believe that. That's why I'm up here with Jimmy. And let's just get that cash, man. Like Bobano said, everyone have a good weekend, but stay locked in. Don't give your hard-earned winnings back to the books. Don't tilt. I've been accustomed to tilting a little bit lately, and definitely learned a few things. And just stay locked in. Don't overextend yourself. Don't get too risky. Stay within your bankroll, and you'll be just fine. You'll be just fine in this community.
Well put. Well put. Remember, when you're up, it's not the house's money. You're winning. It's your money. That is our show. We have our big horse race. It's horse racing time. Kelly McKinnon says, giddy up. Everybody pumped up about the horse race. Jose, you've got to run this Salah, man. I got to run. I got to roll. So I just want to give a shout out to all of you guys here and do a quick review of action before I run out here, because Jose is going to take over. Jose is going to take over the horse race. Remember, if Preston, myself, or Jeff win, that means it's $100 race on Tuesday. Shout out to all of you guys. Thank you so much. Jose will do the full shout out. I've got to run, but I would just like
Troy, you want to join me for some horses, Troy, while you're here?
Yeah, Troy's saying yeah. Troy's down. I'd like to review all action. Stacks play today, Loyola, Chicago. Smooth balls play today, Fairfield Moneyline. Ron Crawford spreadsheet plays today are Jersey, New Jersey in NHL, Georgia Southern in NCAA, and the Bucks in NBA. Arizona, Ottawa, Bobano on the first period over 1.5 and the over 6.5. I'm on the over 6.5. I also have a parlayed at 5.5 with the Kraken last night. Bobano's on the Flyers in the draw. I'm off that spot. We'll cheer for the Flyers to lose. Although it's a big bet for BJ, so I don't want him to lose that cash. But I'm thinking about myself. Obviously, it's a sick world, this gambling world, and I want to win, but I also want you to win, PJ. I'm on the over 6.5 in New Jersey, Anaheim. I got that minus 125 as soon as it came out. Bobano moved on the show, minus 120. In college basketball, Bobano's on Bowling Green +8. He's on Arkansas +7. Arkansas State +7.5. I'm interested in that. He's on Manhattan. I will be on that. He's on Niagara in the over 144.5. He's on Iona in the over 150.5. He's on Fairfield +1.5 in the over 136. I'll be on Canisius. He's on Jacksonville in the over 131.5. I'm very interested in Jacksonville. Dartmouth, Yale stay off over 151 in Marshall, Georgia State. He is on Georgia Southern in the over 151.5. I'm very interested in Georgia Southern. Spreadsheet on Georgia Southern. He's on Brown. He's on North Florida. I'll be on North Florida. He's on Queens. I may get there. I'm going to be on Coastal Carolina first half. He's on the over 154 in North Alabama, Central Arkansas. Pig Milk play today. Cornell -4. He's on Columbia over 143.5. I'm going to be on Columbia. He is on South Alabama. I'm very interested in that spot. He's on Lipscomb. I'm interested in that one too. He's on the over 138 in Bellarmine, Austin P. I'm going to be on Bellarmine first half. He's on the over 140.5 in Troy, Texas State. He's on Louisiana -6.5 in the over 148. He's on Loyola, Chicago with a bunch of you, and I'm interested in it. Fresno State, Nevada stay off in the over 136.5 in Air Force, Utah State. Those of you sticking around for the horse race, thank you. Thank you for being gold members. Thank you for supporting our show. Don't forget, horse racing all day, all night tomorrow. I haven't had a drink in a long time, and I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait till 11:15. It's actually probably about 11:07 a.m. this morning. All right, go out there and get that cash, you guys. Thank you so much for your support. Sorry I can't stick around here for the end, but got to pick up Ella from school. She had a big dance for Black History Club. She's been practicing this dance for
Black History Club?
Yeah, she's in Black History Club, man. And she had a big dance today in front of the school, and she's been practicing for 2 weeks. I can't wait to hear how it went. So I'm off.
Okay, please let us know how Black History Club went. Bye, Jimmy. Bye, Dad. Troy, it's nice to see you. I'm shocked at Black History Club. That is funny as hell. What about Venezuelan History Club? God damn it. But it's nice to see everyone in the chat. Troy, it's nice to see you. Excited for Pubapalooza, I'm sure. And you've got everything squared away. You're locked in, ready to go.
I'm ready to go. I got my flight a long time ago, but I still, my buddy who is coming with me now might throw a little wrench into things. Might throw a little wrench into things because I don't know where we're staying yet. I was planning on sleeping on your couch, Jose.
Well, it's always a good plan. It's always a good plan. By the way, shout out to me. Got an apartment with Helga, much smaller than anticipated, but that's all right. God damn it, because we got approved. So shout out to us. That's what I'm about to do for the rest of my day, Troy. Picking up heavy things and putting them in a new place. It's very exciting stuff here. Very exciting stuff here. But it is almost exciting as this horse race right now. This is going to be very fun to watch here. 1 minute sprint, winner, $50. I can't wait. Troy, have you seen our horse races? How do you feel about our horse races?
I feel pretty good about the horse races. I was looking forward to betting some horses when we get out there in San Antonio. And this horse race, I'm taking Gaucho to be the winner of this race. How many horses we got running?
We got 60 horses on the field.
Horses.
Yeah, Troy, that's how big our fields are. Our fields are gigantic. Our canals are wide. 60 horses on the field here today.
Did you guys experiment with that two heats?
Oh yeah, we've done 2 heats, top 3 advance. You want to do a little 2 heats, Troy?
I'd like to see a 2 heat.
Oh, Troy wants to see 2 heats today. You heard the man. We'll give him what he wants. 2 heats for Troy Torrence here. I'll split this in half here. It's going to be a fun time. Troy, while I split this group up in half, could you remind everyone what you're on again? Because I know there's people that come in just for these horse races, but could you remind for the people in the back what you're on in the NBA again?
Yep. I got the Pistons and Cavs under 222.5. We got the Pelicans first half full game double up 2.5 and 5. The Bucks -3.5. I got the Raptors +3. And I did a little, I had a little free bet on FanDuel that I put on, a little $50 free bet that I put on. Let me make sure I took some alt lines. I got the Pelicanos first half -6.5 parlayed with the under 214.5 in Pistons and Pistons and Cavs. That's a +600 $50 free bet. I like the alt lines. So,
all right, beautiful. I have my horses now back in their canals. It takes us a second to get in there. I will read the list here real quick so you guys know what heat you guys are in. This is Heat 1. We've got BT, Troy's favorite, Subhuman Gaucho, Vincent Ramirez, Fat Wally, Jason Meyer, Randall Sheffield, Dabby Cab, T, Craig Wilkinson, Philly Eagle Flyer, Jeff, Ron Crawford, Big Scott, Iron Eagle, Kent Davies, Mike M, K Wolf, Nasty Nate, Fernando Mendoza, Sharon Pullman, Juan Chavez, Connor Mack Picks, Coin, Fanatical Jim, myself, watch out, Director 97, Ian Shaver, Joey Harb, and our guy Bunk Hoots and Julian Cesario round out Heat 1. Troy,
hey, you guys share your screen, Jose. And Director 97, he's always pressing. He's always pressuring for that first spot, man. That guy's always his horse. He's got the horse.
Yeah, he's definitely got the horse. Whatever he's given his horse, it's working. Let's appreciate all our members one more time. Thanks, everyone in here. Let's get to racing. Top 3 advance here, Troy. I'll call the first 30 seconds. You'll take us home for this one. Then we'll swap. Kent Davies out in the lead there right now. Ian Shaver battling. Is that Joey Harb up there? Who is that? It looks like Joey Harb. Fat Wally BT in here. Watch out for those guys lying in wait in the back. Lying in wait in the back seems to be the right way to go, Troy. Take us home.
I've never called a horse race before, but where is my horse, Subhuman Gaucho? I don't even see him on the board. I thought you said he was in this heat. He might be so far behind and has no chance. Looks like a really tight race. We got a couple seconds here left. No one's taking the lead. No one's taking the light by its horns and taking the lead. We got 8 seconds left. Connor Mack takes out. He might be blowing his load a little bit too early. Is anybody going to contest? Here comes Iron Eagle out of nowhere. Iron Eagle takes it.
All right, look at that. So we've got Iron Eagle, Connor Mack picks, and Ron Crawford advancing to the next round there. So shout out to you guys. Little 2-eat action we're rocking here. So Iron Eagle, congratulations. You're on to the next round. Connor in there as well, and Ron Crawford in here as well. So shout out to you three for winning that first heat. Troy, wasn't a bad first call there. Wasn't a bad first call. I think we're finding you might have a secret talent here, Troy.
That's for me announcing the NBA games. I like to watch them on mute and be the announcer.
That is hilarious. All right. Good job by me here, because I deleted my page with the randomly generated names on there. So let's find it again. Oh, thank God I can find it in my history tab. That would have been a gigantic pain in the Posalia there. So good job by me. But now we've got the second heat now lining up here as well. Let me make sure we're good here. There we go. I accidentally copied the same one. So there we go. Actually, all right, well, just kidding, guys. I did lose it. So now we're going to run 3 heats now. 3 heats. Connor Mack picks, Ron Crawford, and Iron Eagles. You guys, congratulations. You have advanced. Now, I have to run another one here. So it's going to be great here. This is what we do on the fly here, Troy. On the fly.
Well, I really messed things up, huh? By calling for
Well, you make me nervous, Troy. Just being around. I start sweating. I get real nervous around Troy Torrence. He just has a way about him, I guess.
Yeah, you won't feel that way when you meet me. I'm a very laid back guy for the most part.
Well, I am going to cook your ass in the parking lot with that one-on-one drill. But
you better hope you don't fucking. And I hope I don't fucking cause any damage to someone's vehicle. Okay, like we gotta make sure we have enough room.
Oh, goodness. Oh, and by the way, Julian Cesare, you're right. We do need a birthday pic from Jimmy. I'll text Jimmy and see if I can get one from him. But let's go to Heat 2, aka Heat 1.5. So we had 3 guys join up already. I fucked it, but now we have another Heat here. So more racing, more opportunities for you guys that miss. Kenny Can, Billy Friedrich, Julian Cesario, T, Craig Wilkinson, Philly Eagle Flyer, your boy Subhuman back for more, Chris Boggins, Saran, Jason Meyer, myself, Kelly, Jeff, K Wolf, Juan Ruiz, Coin, Director 97, Bo Jackson, Randall Sheffield, Juan Chavez, Crystal Craig, Joey Harp, the Cheshire Cat, Cody Norton, Donut Silks, Rude Boy, Dabby Cab, and Justin McElvey round out our list here. Now, Troy, you're starting this one off, and I cannot wait to hear how you start this race here. So you just let me know, and I'll fire the horses.
Fire it away.
Oh, boy,
we're out the gates here, and people take not like the last race. People are taking the bull by the horns. Like I said, Joey Herb, Jason Meyer, Craig Wilkinson leading the pack. Nobody really making any pull from the back of the pack. However, here comes Chris Bogan making his push around the 30-second mark. And we're nose to nose. We're eye to eye here. Who's going to step up and take the reins?
This is intense right now. Shout out to everyone in here. Juan Chavez trying to stick his note out there. Sharon pulling in there as well. Billy Friedrich making some moves. Cheshire Cat in here as well. We have 15 seconds to figure out who's advancing to the final heat. Cheshire, Dabby, Bo Jackson, myself, Philly Eagle Flyer, T, Billy Friedrich. We're getting to the nitty-gritty. Juan Chavez, Randall Sheffield. Juan wins. And who's our top 3? Juan, T, and Billy Friedrich. All advance. Julian, good news. Jimmy will send you the birthday pic on Twitter. So just keep an eye out there. So I got you there, my guy. So congratulations to Billy Friedrich, T, and Juan Chavez there as well. Joining Iron Eagle, Connor Mack picks, and Ron Crawford there in the finals there. Beautiful work. One more race to go here until we get to the finals. I know it's a little protracted, but we appreciate everyone sticking around here. Troy, thank you for joining me in the horses. I'm sure you're a busy man, but I appreciate you joining with me here
Not
today.
so much today. I got a day off.
Oh.
I'm getting ready to go to a memorial service for a cousin of ours. That's it's a pretty sad story, so let's not get into that.
Well, I'm glad that we can liven up your day a little bit before you go into that memorial service. Shout out to the cousin. Let's read off these names here and let's get into our last horse race. The next three, the top three here advance to our final race. Joseph Thompson, Ian Shaver, Nunya, Jimmy the Bag, LJ from H-Town, Dutch, Gerald Jones, Kent Davies. I have to delete Ron Crawford because you've advanced. Mike M, Fernando Mendoza, Fanatical Jim, deleting Connor, Nasty Nate, Preston Ekdahl, Saturated, Billy Briz, Brown Hughes, BT, Resma, Big Scott, Vincent Ramirez, Chosen One, Sam Colmer, Tori Coker, Big Show Picks, Nut Flush Allen, Buck Hoots, and Ricky Levine round out our 28 here. So we appreciate you guys. Thank you guys as always. Again, 3 heats because I fucked it up, but guess what? More opportunities for those generated here. We're racing in San Antonio once again. Chosen One, Mike M, Joseph Thompson, all sticking out in the lead here. The horses are coming back to the pack. Nutflush Allen in the lead. What a story it would be for Nutflush Allen here. Tori Coker in the mix. 37 seconds left. Who's going to take it home? James the Bag in the mix here as well. Everyone rooting for Jimmy as well. Troy, call this race and put your heart and soul into it.
Well, I think that we're nose to nose. Tori Coker is what happened to the trend of the horses remaining in the lead. I want to see the horse who takes the lead to stay in the lead. It doesn't look like it's going to happen, as Saturated was waiting in the middle of the pack until it was his time to take the lead. Here comes Saturated, 5 seconds left. They're coming towards the finish line, and I don't think anyone's going to catch him. Saturated takes it home.
I think Kent Davies might have snipped third.
Did Kent get in there?
Kent
gets in there with Jimmy the Bag finishing second. Wow.
What a race there. Saturated, he's got a kind of a dynastic horse over there. I've seen him in the mix a lot. Jimmy the Bag in here as well, and Kent Davies taking third from Nutflush and Res Mob there at the end. Boy, oh boy.
So what we got? We got Saturated, the Bag, Kent Davies.
Oh, buddy, let me show you, and I'll show everyone the nitty-gritty of how these horses get put into their canals there. 9 names in our final here. Iron Eagle, Connor McPix, Ron Crawford, Julian Cesario, Juan Chavez, Julian, T, Billy Friedrich, Saturated, Jimmy the Bag, and Kent Davies.
Nasty Nate retires. I know, his jockey's ass. I think you just need a new jockey, Nate. That's it. This is a good little finals we got here. The finals.
This is very exciting here. I cannot wait to see who comes out on top. A lot of fun here. Let's give it a shuffle too. Let's give it a little shuffle to make sure we're ready to go here. And we are racing in San Antonio. Troy, start this one out for us.
Everyone starts off very slow out of the gate. Jimmy the Bag kind of creeping, Iron Eagle creeping into the lead. It looks like Saturated, so we're getting ready to make the same move he did last round, sitting in the middle of the pack. Kent Davies starting to sneak up. Juan Chavez, who is going to take the reins and take home the $50? We're about to find out as the race is nearing an end.
Oh, boy, this is going to be exciting stuff here. Jimmy the Bag been in the lead for a long time, but some experts would say this is not a good thing for Jimmy. T's coming up from behind him as well. We're getting to the final stretch. That horse is dying for Jimmy. His horse is dying. Someone give him some CPR. Oh, no. Kent Davies in the lead. Iron Eagle. Kent. Connor pick from nowhere. Connor's taken. Connor's taken. Connor. gonna take it home. Congratulations. Connor Mack picks from the grave. Oh, my Lord. Connor, what a beautiful race. Jesus Christ, Connor. Iron Eagle takes second. Jimmy the Bag, his horse died, got some life, but finishes in third. Troy, what do you think?
I think that Ian Shaver predicted this to happen. What a god that guy is in the chat. Shout out to Ian Shaver, Billy Friedrich, just a bunch of great people in the chat. And a great winner, Connor Mack. I love chopping it up with him. Great capper, man. Great capper. Well deserved.
Well deserved indeed. Appreciate everyone joining us here for our Horse Race Fridays. And don't forget, the horse racing doesn't stop today. Horses tomorrow. And I've already made Jimmy commit another $50 horse race funded by us two tomorrow. Gold members again. Can't wait. There's nothing better. Troy, this is probably the best part of your day right there, watching those ponies run. And we're going to do it live and in person at Southtown 101 as well during Pubapalooza. I simply cannot.
That's going to be wild. That's going to be wild. Imagine how loud that bar will be.
Yes, $20 a horse. Get in there. It's going to be a great time. It's going to be a great time. So yeah, it's gonna be. Oh yeah, come on. We're not playing for nothing here, Troy. We want some cash in this as well. So it's gonna be fun. Shout out to everyone. I have a Gumby face. I appreciate that. JPZ, Ian, great call. Justin, Chris, Fat Wally, all you guys. Again, expect to see all of you at Pubapalooza. Thanks everyone for watching. Thank you, Troy, for sticking around. Appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your day, and during the memorial service, maybe you can think about the horses. The horses will brighten your day up a little bit. Then we make it a little better. So there we go. Shout out to you guys. Appreciate it, and we'll see you guys next time.